The day shuts down. The games light up. This is BetMGM Tonight on Westwood One Sports.
Hey, welcome on into a Friday night. It's Friday night special of BetMGM Tonight here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle, filling in for Brad Evans tonight. I got the Glass Man with me. It's PJ Glasser. And we are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. We're with you every Monday through Friday, 6 to 11 p.m. Eastern. You can watch the show live on YouTube. Just search BetMGM Tonight and hit that subscribe button. You can watch the show live on Twitter at BetMGM Tonight. And you can listen to the program on the Westwood One Sports app, the Odyssey app, SiriusXM Channel 375, and hundreds of local affiliates throughout North America. The talk and text line to join the show is 310-840-4910. You can call, you can text 310-840-4910. PJ, we got some big baseball news here, but before we get to that, we are 2.5 hours from tip-off. Game 2, my man. My New York Knicks, and I'm repping, and I got my hat. I got the rally cap ready, just like game 1 if they go down 15. I got the rally shades ready if they go down by 20, just like I did in game 1. They got down 14, came all the way back. Jalen Brunson, 30-piece, Knicks win game 1. And now it feels like, I feel like this is a must-win game for the Spurs. And yeah, maybe I'm saying that because I'm a Knicks fan. If the Knicks are up 2-0, man, and that would make it 13 straight wins in a row, going back to the Garden, I'm thinking sweep, and I'm thinking at worst this series is toast in 5. So I think this is a must-win game for the Spurs. Do you feel like this is a must-win game for the Spurs? Or, PJ, is there a scenario where San Antonio drops the first 2 at home and you'd still feel good about their chances to win the finals?
I mean, you certainly wouldn't feel good about it, but I definitely don't think that they're toast if they lose tonight. I kind of like the Spurs in game 3, regardless of whether they win or lose tonight, because we all expect that atmosphere in MSG for game 3 to be as good as we've seen, especially a pro sports building, in a long time. The ticket prices that game is going for, Pat, it's like 10 grand to sit up in the nosebleeds, my man. It is insane what prices are going for. It's going to be rocking inside the building, outside the building. In sports, I feel like those kinds of games where everybody's so fired up for it, when it's been such a long time, and when your team either gets a split on the road or they come back home with the commanding 2-0 lead, you'd be surprised at how many times the home team drops that first game at home. So I think San Antonio has a great shot in that game 3, whether or not they lose tonight or they win. They'd obviously like to win tonight so they can tie the series up at 1-1. But as a Knicks fan, you are in a great spot because you already flipped home court. You got the road win that you were looking for. And it's as simple as if the Knicks win all their home games in this series, they're going to be NBA champions. They have a ton of momentum. They want to be greedy and steal these first 2. And after watching the first game, it definitely feels like the matchups are in their favor. But I think the Spurs are going to adjust tonight. We're going to get a heck of a game too. But Pat, I think a lot of people would share your sentiment where the Spurs have to win tonight. If they do, the series is over. I wouldn't necessarily stick a fork in San Antonio just quite yet if they lose tonight. It would definitely be an uphill climb, especially considering, this would make it 13 straight wins for the Knicks. But I would not count out San Antonio for dead. When the Knicks took a 2-0 series lead against Cleveland, I thought the series was over. I would not feel that same way if the Spurs lose tonight, but definitely would not be good for them.
Here's my proverbial fork, PJ. That's what I'd be doing to the Spurs tonight if the Knicks win game 2 in San Antonio. They're toast. They're toast if they lose this game. They are absolutely toast. Now, I must admit, as a Knicks fan, especially now, the referee, the crew chief for tonight is Tony Brothers, which I briefly mentioned on last night's show because I was leaning to thinking it might be another defensive game. And I said, as long as Tony Brothers isn't the crew chief, because that guy calls, I mean, you breathe on somebody, it's a foul. And Tony Brothers is the crew chief for tonight. So I'm expecting 100 foul calls, 80 free throws, and probably a favorable whistle for the Spurs. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a little conspiracy theorist in my head thinking that, all right, what could go wrong is going to go wrong here for the Knicks. And, all good things must come to an end. That 12-game playoff winning streak where they're just dominating every single game, or even when they're not dominating, they still end up winning by double digits. I got a bad feeling about tonight. My stress level's already high. I want a 2-0 lead. I didn't think it was going to be easy. I did say Knicks in 6, so that means the Spurs have to win 2 games. I'm feeling like it's going to be tonight. But if they lose, San Antonio, I'm going to be your worst enemy. Forget about Charles Barkley. I'm going to be San Antonio's worst enemy. I'm going to be talking about the women of Galveston. I'm going to be talking about churros. I'm going to make sure I deliver a message to the Air Corgi, who, by the way, how pathetic is that dog, PJ? I got into a little dust up on social media with the Air Corgi, the one that bounces the ball into the bucket. Dog has no idea what's going on, but the owner is, the master puppeteer. And so the Air Corgi's on its social media pages. Oh, I had to purposefully get game 1 wrong, even though, when I bopped it off my nose and went into the Spurs bucket for game 1. So I can't wait for the Air Corgi to eat it if the Spurs lose tonight. This series is done if San Antonio loses. But so even in my most confident Knicks fandom, something tells me that San Antonio is going to come out with their best punch. I am a little concerned about Jalen Brunson's knee and the ankle, which we saw him limping to the locker room after quarter 1 48 hours ago. Now, who knows? Did he get some Torbadol? Did he get some, a little painkiller, juiced up into that puppy to come back and play that game 1? How does he feel now 48 hours later? God only knows. We'll see it. I am a little concerned about that. And if the Knicks get down early, it could be like a whirlwind. It could be a cyclone here. And then the Knicks just say, Mike Brown says to Brunson, all right, man, we got 2 days off before game 3 at the Garden. Let's rest up. So this better be San Antonio's best punch here tonight, PJ, because if they throw it, if they throw their best punch and the Knicks win this game somehow, this thing is toast.
Well, that's what's been so impressive about this Spurs team is every time they've needed to respond throughout this postseason, they have done so. When they, got the split with Portland in round 1, went on the road, immediately took back that series and went up 2-1. Same thing with Minnesota. When the Wolves took game 1 in their home building and they needed to respond in game 2, they did that. And then in that Oklahoma City series, after getting a split, OKC won game 3, took a 2-1 series lead. Spurs needed to get that game 4. They did. They needed to get game 6. And then, of course, won that game 7. So every time the Spurs really have had to have that game, that momentum series game, that game that you got to get so you don't put yourself down in that type of hole where you have a 5% chance, 7% chance to win a series, they've done that. And I think they're going to do that again tonight. It's going to be tough because, again, the Knicks have so much momentum. They're so confident. And they really didn't shoot the ball all that well in game 1. I think they're going to respond. Pat, I think another thing that I'm really interested by, everybody was talking about Cat versus Wemby and how that matchup affected game 1, and rightfully so. That was obviously Cat was the guy who kept him in it. He was the guy who brought him back, and he was the guy who wore down Wemby, especially on the defensive end, and because of his ability to shoot, he kept him away from the basket. I think another big part and another big takeaway for me from this game 1 that I'm really fascinated by tonight is how Mitch Johnson and this Spurs coaching staff, how they handle these minutes with De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper, what they decide to do between those two, because Harper was the Spurs' best player in the first half. Second half wasn't as good, but De'Aaron Fox played 11 minutes in the fourth quarter. And it's tough when you got a 20-year-old rookie against a guy who you gave a max deal to that you traded for that you thought was going to be your second best player along with Wemby. And it's like, do you go with the guy that you paid to be that number 2? Or do you actually just play the guy that is maybe your second or third best player? I think Mitch Johnson, this is a big game for him tonight as well. He's going to have to make some key decisions. And I think he's just got to ride with not only the hot hands in tonight's game, but he's got to ride with the guys that have been carrying him this postseason. And it's been Wemby, it's been Castle, and it's been Harper. You've had some great performances from some other guys throughout, but those have been your three. And I think you got to ride those three tonight in what's pretty much a must-win game. So the Cat-Wemby matchup is certainly the thing we're all watching, how both teams adjust, and especially the Spurs. But Pat, I think the minute disparity tonight and what they decide to do with Harper and Fox, I think is also another really key thing that I'm watching for in game 2.
I agree 100%. That was one of the 3 keys I gave out last night on the show that the Spurs must do, and that includes Mitch Johnson making adjustments and getting De'Aaron Fox off the floor. He's been a liability, PJ. He's got no burst. And so if he's going to hit a couple of threes, great. Other than that, man, like the Knicks aren't scared of him driving to the paint, and that's his specialty, De'Aaron Fox. Like, getting to the bucket, getting downhill, using his agility and his swiftness. He can't do that right now. He's got that. I think he's still battling the bum ankle that cost him the first 2 games against OKC. He hasn't been the same since. He hasn't scored nearly as many points. He's averaging less than 10 points per game in the last, 6 games he's played now? He's been brutal. So, yeah, Dylan Harper is coming off the bench, giving you a spark. It looks like he's running 100 miles an hour through the Knicks defense. I agree. He's got to play more minutes than De'Aaron Fox tonight. And if I was a Spurs fan, that would make me feel good if I see Dylan Harper on the floor a lot more tonight, not De'Aaron Fox, 11 minutes in the fourth quarter, doing a whole lot of nothing. All right, we'll get more into a deeper preview of this game as we get closer to it. 310-840-4910. We'll take any and all of your predictions on what you think is going to happen in game 2 tonight, and especially, is it a must-win game for the Spurs? Would you still give them a chance to win the NBA Finals if they go down 0-2 going back to Madison Square Garden? 310-840-4910. But PJ, let's pivot here because we got some massive baseball news today and something that is near and dear to my heart, not to make it a full New York Open, but when Aaron Judge, one of the best players, the second best player on the planet, has a massive injury, it's worth talking about. Out indefinitely with a stress fracture in his upper right rib for the last couple of days. We had thought it was reported that it was right shoulder discomfort. And when this happens with the Yankees, PJ, you always assume the worst because this has happened before. And the Yankees try to keep it. And look, I did a postgame for the Yankees last weekend in when they were against the A's in Sacramento, and nobody mentioned anything about Judge. And then on Monday, in the off day or Tuesday morning, he mentions discomfort and he's out of the lineup and he had been slumping lately. He had kind of mentioned right shoulder soreness. And I was like, oh no. Because you could just see it. And the Yankees downplay it. They're like, oh, no, this. But, in the meantime, he got an edema. He got, which caused some swelling. He goes to see a specialist in Dallas who deals with thoracic outlet syndrome. So once I saw that yesterday, I thought season's over. This is thoracic outlet syndrome. He is toast. It's not the worst news, but it's definitely not great. He's going to be out probably to the All-Star break at the bare minimum, because Aaron Boone and the Yankees did say that he's going to get re-imaged in 4 to 6 weeks. Re-imaged. That doesn't mean he's returning. That's right. A month from now. That's July. That's 4th of July weekend. It could be 6 weeks, which is the All-Star break. If he doesn't get re-imaged until then and he gets clear to go, then he's got to ramp up, rehab something. Like Aaron Judge might not be back until August 1st. And so you might as well, in my opinion, throw out his chances of winning the AL MVP out the window. The MVP race is wide open. But more importantly here for the New York Yankees, they're a half game behind the Tampa Bay Rays. They're 7.5 games ahead in the top wild card spot. And here's the other thing, PJ. Even when Aaron Judge is healthy, the Yankees seem to go through a June swoon almost every single year where all of a sudden they're one of the best teams in baseball in the first 2 months, and then they play like they're one of the worst teams in baseball. So I'm in full-blown panic mode right now, and I got the Knicks on my mind, they game 2, and I got to worry about Aaron Judge being out for the next 2 months and the Yankees hitting rock bottom. Not a good Friday for me, I got to admit, man. Not a good Friday. This is not good.
That was a brutal blow, getting that Judge news yesterday, especially when you're starting to get the pitching pieces back. I mean, Cole's been back now for some starts, and Rodon is starting to come back. Schlittler has obviously been incredible for the Yankees this season. Cashman's going to have some decisions to make, Pat, at the deadline, because as you know, the way he's operated the last 3, 4, 5 years is he's really made his big splashes in the bullpen. Maybe he's going after some starters. He's made some cookie cutter moves to the lineup, really hasn't made any big time swings. is this finally the deadline where when the American League is so down this year, Tampa and the Yankees are really the only teams that have played great baseball up to this point in the season, and all the good teams are in the National League. The way that the AL wildcard stands right now is you have the White Sox that are the second wildcard team, and then you have the A's and the Rangers tied at 30 and 32. Both of those teams 2 games below 500. It's been much talked about across many networks, including this one and this show, at how disappointing the American League has been. But even with the Judge injuries, Pat, because the AL is so bad, I think the Yankees are able to survive the regular season because of their pitching. And if Judge is able to come back and he can ramp up in the month of September to get him ready for the postseason, I think the Yankees could be in a decent shape. But I think Cashman, how he decides to play this is really interesting, because he's got to look again at how bad the AL has been this year, the opportunity that the Yankees are going to have to win this American League, and not having Aaron Judge. Yeah, your team might lose some games and lose more than they would if he wasn't in the lineup, but ultimately, I think they're going to be okay. Their starting pitching is still so good that I think it's going to carry them. But I think they're in a good spot. The problem is, especially if you're looking to bet the Yankees, I mean, they're still favored to win the division. They're still the big favorites to win the American League. Even with the Judge news, you still can't get really any value on them. If they lose a few games and the numbers drop, then maybe you look to buy in. But Pat, ultimately, even though the news sucks and you don't want Judge to be out for this extended period of time, because the American League is so bad, I think they're going to be okay. I think Cashman could make some moves or so. And as long as Judge is back, man, by mid-September and October, that's really all that matters for the Yankees.
Oh, mid-September, PJ, please. I'm hoping August 1st, man. Don't say mid-September to me. That's killing me. That's killing me. And yeah, I mean, again, should the Yankees make the playoffs no matter what with how bad the American League has been? Yes. But again, PJ, here's the problem, man. They've had a win percentage under 300 in 2 out of the last 3 Junes in the last 3 years. 2 of them, a win percentage under 300 in the month of June. They could be under 500 by the end of this month. That's a possibility, given recent history. I'm just saying, they could be with the rest of the American League in just a couple of weeks here. 310-840-4910. Ben Rice is got to be the guy that steps up the most for the Yankees. And I would say step up as if he hasn't stepped up. He's been stepping up. So Ben Rice needs to continue to carry the lineup. Him and Cody Bellinger. You know, again, I have no idea when Giancarlo Stanton's going to come back. I know that there's conflicting reports, and, you know, you started running maybe in a couple of weeks from now, maybe 2 weeks from now. I'll when I see Giancarlo Stanton in the batter's box in a Major League Baseball game, I'll believe it. So until then, it's the other guys in the heart of this lineup. It's Ben Rice and it's Cody Bellinger, who have played really well. And then, look, I need to see more out of Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm is a guy that said he was going to hit 40 home runs this year. He's got like 7. I mean, come on. Like, he's got to start pulling his weight. So it's that heart of the order without Judge. That goes without saying. But more importantly, PJ, this kind of opens the American League MVP race wide open here. And with the way that Ben Rice is right now, he's plus 350 at our friends at BetMGM to win the MVP. And I've been calling Ben Rice the MVP for a couple of weeks now, you know, just to kind of take some shots at Combs. You know, we going back and forth on the Yankees and the Cubs, but like, he's the third favorite in the odds right now. You got the American League reigning Rookie of the Year, Nick Kurtz, at just more than 8-1. And then it's Yordan Alvarez for the Astros, who is just on a tear right now, and Bobby Witt for the Royals, who's on a tear. Those two guys have the shortest odds. So who would you be confident in picking right now if you had to predict who wins the AL MVP? Who do you think it would be?
Yeah, I think the guy that you would probably feel the most confident in would be Bobby Witt, just because even in his short career, he's shown this consistency of what a great hitter that he is. Now, Yordan in his own right is obviously a tremendous hitter. And Pat, as you mentioned, he's been on a ridiculous tear. He's second in the league in home runs. He's up there in hits, RBIs, all the major categories. He's been terrific. Witt, though, is just, I mean, he's a machine, man. And with the speed and the defense that he gives you at a premium position at shortstop, I think he would be the guy, especially if the Royals are able to get themselves back in the playoff mix. The guy that Brandon and I were throwing out, though, before the show that intrigues us is Nick Kurtz, because he's a heck of a ball player for the A's. And if they're able to somehow win that division or maybe even get in the playoffs. They got to be recognized for that in some kind of way that you would think. And you would think if they're in the playoffs, Kurtz would be a big part of that. Now he's going to need some help from some of those other guys. Certainly Alvarez, Witt, Rice, these guys would have to cool off. But I think Kurtz, I mean, that's already dropped from 11-1 to plus 850 with the Judge news. And I could see it continuing to drop if he has some big games. He plays in arguably the best hitters park out in Sacramento. I think Witt would be the guy I would feel the best about. But I think from a betting standpoint, Kurtz at plus 850 would probably be the guy that I would look at.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned the hitter-friendly ballpark, that Sutter Health, that AAA ballpark in Sacramento. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to help his offensive numbers. I just think it's Yordan Alvarez. And, the first counter argument you might make is, well, the Astros are terrible. So what? Mike Trout won his MVPs when playing on terrible Angels teams or mediocre Angels teams. So the Astros right now are... Let's see, what's the record? 28-36. I mean, they're not even out, and it wouldn't shock me. As much as I hate the Astros and everybody around baseball hates the Astros, it wouldn't shock me if they're 500 in a month from now. Like if they claw their way back into contention here. And even if they don't, Mike Trout has proven you can win the MVP on a terrible or a mediocre team. Alvarez is a machine, man. You mentioned, I mean, he leads the American League in OPS. He leads the American League in home runs. He leads the American League in RBIs. He's second in the league in the American League in RBIs behind his teammate Christian Walker. And he's hitting 316. He leads the American League there. I mean, he's an offensive juggernaut this year. And so who cares if he's not as good of a defensive player as Bobby Witt, who doesn't steal bases? Like, he right now is the best hitter in all of baseball right now. Right now, the way he's hitting the ball, there's nobody better. There's nobody that's hotter. So I know, again, you're getting terrible odds with Alvarez at plus 140. So, again, I'm not taking it. It's only June 5th. I do like that you said Kurtz gives you great value, but, I mean, if you're asking me to predict, I'll be saying with my Yankee fan cap on, my Yankee work cap on, Ben Rice has a damn good shot of winning it if he could step up in the absence of Judge, make him even more valuable. But the way Alvarez is hitting the ball this year, man, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
I mean, the dude's a machine, and the Astros have been playing a lot better ball. He's been so good. I think, too, of all these guys, like Yordan is the one that you also worry about getting hurt, which is something that definitely plays a little bit in the back of my mind. I mean, Kurtz, Rice, Witt, all these guys are much younger. They're much more durable. And, you never want to kind of go into a market thinking that way. Injuries is something you can never plan or predict for, but there are some guys that definitely get hurt more than others. And Alvarez with him, that's always a concern. So he should be the rightful favorite, and he is the guy to beat. But I think that this race is going to be terrific to watch. And Pat, I know it sucks the Judge is out, but I just think looking at it from a base perspective of a baseball fan, the fact that we're finally going to get somebody outside of Ohtani or Judge to win MVP is pretty intriguing. So interested to see how this plays out over the next few months.
Yeah, I don't get exhausted by the Judge MVPs, but I can see how a lot of other people would. You're listening to BetMGM tonight. We're sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you could save at progressivecommercial.com. All right, so what do you think? Can the Yankees survive without Aaron Judge for potentially the next 2 months? And who would you pick to win the AL MVP? Yordan Alvarez, Bobby Witt, Ben Rice, Nick Kurtz, anybody else? Let us know when we return. And as we get closer to tip-off, we'll continue to take your calls and texts. Is tonight a must-win game for the Spurs? What's your prediction for Game 2? He's PJ Glasser. I'm Pat Boyle. This is BetMGM tonight on Westwood One Sports.
what's your favorite game or event that you've ever been a part of, called, announced, etc.?
I really can't single out any one, but when I'm asked, I have three that I immediately just toss out there. I didn't call Kirk Gibson's home run, the pinch hit home run in Game 1 of 1988's World Series off Dennis Eckersley. Jack Buck had a memorable call on radio, and Vin Scully had one of his greatest calls on television. But I was the pregame and postgame host for NBC, and that remains the most theatrical baseball moment I've ever been connected to. Not necessarily the biggest or the best, but the most theatrical in the way it played out. And I interviewed Gibson immediately on the field in the aftermath of this miraculous home run. And I actually said that this reminded me of Roy Hobbs at bat, Robert Redford as Roy Hobbs in the movie The Natural, which was fairly new at that time during the 1980s. And what NBC's producers did, and it was brilliant, was they went to work and they intercut Redford's at-bat with Gibson's at-bat, along with Randy Newman's soundtrack from The Natural. And that's the way we came on the air before Game 2, because it was that dramatic and that theatrical in the way the whole thing played out. You couldn't have staged it any more dramatically than that. So that's one. Another is Muhammad Ali lighting the torch at the opening ceremony of the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, a moment both powerful and poignant. And the third would be Michael Jordan's last shot as a Chicago Bull. We thought at the time it was perhaps his last shot of the NBA, but he did come back for a couple of seasons with the Wizards. But essentially, that's the way the curtain came down. And talk about theatrical, one of the greatest careers in the history of American sports ends in the most dramatic way possible. Classic jump shot, down by a point, changes it to up by a point, closes out the series, closes out his career, 6 titles, 6 MVPs in the finals, never lost in the finals. That's a perfect punctuation.
May have pushed off, but I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, and Michael Jordan ruined my childhood saying that.
Stop. If that play happens in the second quarter of a regular season game, no one even comments on it. Russell's momentum was already carrying him in the other direction. The little hand on his tush, as I said in the Last Dance documentary, was the equivalent of a maitre d' showing a customer to his table. It had nothing to do with the play. He had already faked him out of position and was wide open and then hit the shot.
I hated them. I can't.
Well,
unless the Knicks win a championship, I can't shake it. I'm being honest up front about my hate for them.
Right now, this is the best team. And
Late games, loud opinions, and money time moments. BetMGM Tonight rolls on.
Welcome on back. BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans tonight, and the phone number to join the show is 310-840-4910. Taking your phone calls. Game 2 predictions of the NBA Finals between the Knicks and the Spurs, and is also tonight a must-win game for San Antonio. I say yes. I think the series is done if the Knicks win again tonight and go up 2-0 going back to New York City. PJ would still give the Spurs a chance to win the finals, even if they lose tonight's game. And then also we covered Aaron Judge and his stress fracture in his rib. He's going to be out indefinitely. Yankees said he's not going to get re-imaged for another 4 to 6 weeks. So I would say Judge's chances of coming back before the All-Star break are nearly zero. He might not be back until August, maybe even a little bit later. So who do you think has a great chance to win the AL MVP, assuming Judge is going to miss the next 2 months? 310-840-4910. But how about this, PJ? A couple of weeks ago and a couple of months ago, a few times here and there, we'd get a little nugget of news about the Chicago Bears and their stadium plans. Longtime plans were that they were going to build their new stadium, multi-billion-dollar, beautiful stadium in Arlington Heights, suburb just outside of Chicago. And then, some battles with legislators in Illinois, in the state of Illinois, and all of a sudden we had some speed bumps and some yellow tape and some hiccups. And then Bears ownership floated the idea of maybe going to Indiana, whether it was Gary, Indiana, then Hammond, Indiana. And it kind of felt like, in my opinion, Peach, that Arlington Heights was always going to prevail. Well, you got a statement from Chicago Bears chairman George McCaskey and president and CEO Kevin Warren today. And it reads this. Yesterday, the Chicago Bears Board of Directors met and voted to advance our stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana, with the exact site to be selected. We believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region, connecting Northwest Indiana to the south side of Chicago through the Loop and across neighborhoods and suburbs stretching north of the city. It will bring Chicagoland together and deliver new opportunities to its residents and businesses. I mean, I don't know if this is a bluff. I don't know if this is leverage. This kind of feels like it's more than a 50-50 shot that the Bears are relocating to Indiana. And I don't know about you, but that just feels weird, man. And I don't know if Bears fans should be embracing this, if Chicago residents would want to keep them in Illinois, Arlington Heights and Hammond. They're not like that far of drives when you compare the one or two, but the Bears are playing in the state of Indiana. So what do you think is the next step here for the Chicago Bears and their statement that they're ready to go to Indiana?
It's a weird one, Pat. Like, it doesn't feel the same as the New York Giants and the New York Jets playing in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Yeah. Like, we're so used to it. And obviously there's like no space to build a stadium in the city. Maybe they could do it like out on Long Island by Citi Field or where Belmont Park is. Like, they could do something out there and keep it in New York. And that was the idea with Arlington Heights. And like you, I always thought that was going to prevail. I thought it made a lot of sense because it was close to O'Hare Airport. Now you're going in the opposite direction of O'Hare. You're going south of Chicago when O'Hare is north of downtown, over by Evanston and over by Arlington Heights. So from that standpoint, it's really going to make it brutal for opposing teams and for opposing fans that want to go to the games. And obviously fans of the Bears, man, how long of a drive that is just to go see their teams, especially in the dead of the winter, is going to be brutal. It doesn't feel right. And I'm not surprised, because at the end of the day, this is just how it works with, members of the board and people that have deep pockets. They don't really care. They're just looking for the venue that can make them the most money. I don't know if Hammond, Indiana is necessarily the spot that I would go, but that's definitely the place that it looks like they were going to go. I've only been to one game at Soldier Field, and I know that there's like no tailgating around the stadium. There's no bars around it, but it's such a great place to have the stadium. I mean, it's right downtown there. Like, it's convenient for in the standpoint of like to have a stadium downtown. These teams that try to put their stadium so far outside of the city, I don't like it. I love in any kind of sport when a stadium is downtown and you can walk to it, even if it's a little bit of a walk. But this is, Pat, looks like it's kind of a done deal at this point, man. I mean, it looks like the Bears are headed to Indiana. I don't love the move, but I guess we're just going to have to get used to it at this point.
Yeah. Now, again, there is, quote, that quote, Illinois can still get back in the race. Now, Illinois' spring legislative session just ended, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that, a spokesperson for the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, said that constant shifting by the Bears has, quote, hindered progress toward a stadium deal. And, who's going to pay what? Who's going to pay for the infrastructure? That's what a lot of this comes down to. But, Again, on Sunday night, Illinois State Senator Bill Cunningham introduced new legislation that would allow Cook County cities with more than 70,000 residents to create their own sports stadium authority. And so the Bears would pay for the construction of the new stadium, which the franchise has already dedicated $2 billion in funding toward, and then the land would be publicly owned. That bill passed the Illinois Senate 37-17. The House then adjourned after 4:30 in the morning without taking a vote. So it just feels like there has been, again, every time it feels like there has been, all right, there's momentum. They're going to stay in Illinois. Something happens. There's a speed bump. And the Bears are like, you know what? Screw it, man. We're not going to deal with this. We're moving to Indiana. And it's going to be easy for us. It's going to be simple. And whether it was Arlington Heights or it's Hammond, Indiana, again, Combs, our producer, Brandon Combs, who is a Bears fan, who I want to get his thoughts here in just a second. But he put in our rundown, there's 10 NFL franchises who currently do not play in the city that they represent. The Bears would be the 11th. So is it a big deal? Maybe at first. I'm not a Chicago Bears fan. I'm not a Chicago resident. So maybe it's only fair that we get the guy that is a Chicago resident right now. Let's get producer Brandon Combs in here. Combs, now that this feels like it's a pretty good chance that they're going to Hammond, Indiana, how do you feel about this for the Bears?
Look, I think that this is a great move for the Bears as an economic move for the Bears franchise. This is a business move for the team. I like it. I think that eventually fans are going to like it as well. When you look at the realistic point of everything that's going to happen here, to get to Arlington Heights, you're going to have to take the toll roads. You're going to spend about $35-40 just to get to the Chicago Bears game, because after they start building the stadium, we know the state of Illinois, what are they going to do? They're going to jack up the tolls, the cost of tolls. So now you're spending $35 just to get to the stadium, on top of probably over $100 to park at the stadium, on top of whatever your ticket costs. To me, you go to Hammond, you can get to Hammond on 90, depending on where you live at in Chicago. You can get down to Hammond without using any toll roads. You can get down to Hammond if they're going to build this thing and they're going to build the entertainment district like they planned. It's a lot easier of a trip for Chicagoans than it is to get to Arlington Heights. So me personally, I live on the south side of the city. For all of us south side fans, it's a 15-minute drive to Hammond, Indiana. Like I am literally right by Hammond, Indiana. It's 12 miles from my house. So to get there is going to be a lot better. And I think that economically, when you talk about like the cost of living in Indiana versus the cost of living in Illinois, there's a lot of people from Illinois that move to Indiana, that buy houses in Indiana because it's cheaper, because the cost of living is cheaper out there. So I think that will also help you keep ticket prices down. I actually think that this is a good move for the Chicago Bears. I think you could get into all the politics of everything with Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and all that other nonsense if you want to. I do believe that the politics in the state of Illinois is what has driven the Bears to Indiana. But at the end of the day, I actually think that this is going to be a great move. And they're still going to be the Chicago Bears. All these people that say like, oh, the Hammond Bears or the Indiana Bears, they're still going to be the Chicago Bears the same way the San Francisco 49ers are still the San Francisco 49ers and not the Santa Clara 49ers, who play much further away from San Francisco than what Hammond is from Chicago. So to me, it's going to be a great move. I'm happy about it, to be honest with you.
Wow. Now PJ said this on our show chat, Combs. Why can't the Bears just rebuild a new Soldier Field? Why can't they stay in Chicago?
Because it's landmarked. It's all landmarked land. That's why the staying in Chicago, there was a possibility because there's a spot in the South Loop that was looking to build a stadium, but the intelligent new owner of the Chicago White Sox, who people will say is not taking over until 2029, which is Ishbia, has already purchased that land. He has already moved to Chicago. He's already purchased that land. He's already done everything that he can to build the White Sox a new stadium. So the Bears can no longer inhabit that stadium. There's no spot for them to build, which is why they couldn't build a dome when they renovated back in 2004, 2005. I can't remember exactly when they played at the University of Illinois for a year. But this to me is something that's been building. It was always going to be either Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana. And ultimately the politics and the politicians in Illinois have driven the Bears out of of Illinois. There's a slim chance they could get back in this thing, but I don't know how it happens. I really don't. I think Hammond's going to be the thing.
So, Brandon, when they're done playing football at Soldier Field, it's just going to stay untouched. Like they can't tear it down or they can't build new property.
Correct.
Like it's just going to stay there.
Yeah, though it's not even owned by the Bears anyway. It's owned by the Park District. That's the other problem that the Bears have had with Soldier Field is that they don't own the stadium. So when concerts go there, when other things go to Soldier Field, soccer games, all that stuff, they don't make any money on any of that stuff, and they will be able to with this new stadium wherever they end up building it. It's so much better for the Bears. And not only that, I mean, for those fans that have been wanting the McCaskey family to sell this team, get ready because it's coming. The Bears' value is never going to be higher than it is right now with a team that is good, with a guy in Caleb Williams who a lot of people believe in, who right now is kind of the face of this city, and a brand new stadium. The value of the Bears is never going to be higher. I think the McCaskey family is probably going to end up selling this thing within the next 5 years as well. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. I think this move to Hammond is not as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
Okay. And you like it. You're in favor of the move to Hammond, and mostly because you live on the south side of Chicago, don't you? So it's an easier drive for you.
Yeah.
That's probably where you're just selfish.
Can you take a train? Can you take a train down there?
Yeah.
Or you think they'll build
You can.
eventually? You
Yeah.
can, okay.
No,
Okay.
yeah, there's a metro that goes to Hammond, Indiana, and then I mean public transportation, all that. It's just it's so much easier. There is a metro train that goes to Arlington Heights as well. So there is that too, and they would build it up. They would make sure that they did enough to get you there. It comes down to cost of living. It comes down to state taxes and all the other things that you're going to end up doing. It just makes more sense, and it's always made more sense. I said this when they first flirted the idea with Indiana. It made way more sense for the Bears team as a business to move to Indiana.
See, it's so funny, Pat, because as somebody who lives in the D.C. area, I've seen what moving from RFK Stadium to Landover, Maryland has done for the Commanders and playing out there in the middle of nowhere. And I see something like this, and automatically I'm just like, I hate this for Bears fans. But it's great to get Brandon's perspective as somebody who's obviously in the city that would know a lot better for me. And for his sake and Bears fans, if they end up going with Hammond, I hope it works out. Because I mean, I know for all these years, Commanders fans have just hated where the stadium is, and they're thrilled that they're starting to build the new one closer to the city again.
All right, we got to grab a break. Number to join the show, 310-840-4910. Whether you're a Bears fan or not, do you care if the Chicago Bears go to Hammond, Indiana? 310-840-4910. When we come back, we'll go streaking. PJ's got a 90% record that'll put on the line tonight when we come back. This is BetMGM tonight on Westwood One Sports.
Right now, this is the best team in the National Football League. They were Super Bowl favorites before they added Myles Garrett to this team. To me, this is a special trade. I think even for me personally, I was in Cleveland Myles' rookie year when he got there, and the slogan on our team at that time from Hugh Jackson was "Embrace the suck." We knew what it was going to be coming off a 1-15 season, and then we went 0-16.
I was going to say, you did. You did.
Yes,
I hate
exactly.
to say that. I'm not
You
trying
did
to be
that
a
well.
jerk. But
So for Myles, and he's played in 3 playoff games throughout his 9 years, but he's done so much damage on teams that weren't able to get over the hump or even get close to where they wanted to get. So for him personally, you come into the league on a bad team with a Hall of Fame player like Joe Thomas, who you saw and probably got to go against every single day in practice. And you saw a guy that finished his last game against the Titans when he got injured in a Hall of Fame career, never getting to see that type of team success. So now you fast forward for Myles, 9 years of that. Now you get an opportunity to go play in 7 primetime games, and you get to chase a Lombardi trophy. So to me, this is special. This is a Rams defense that fell apart towards the end of the season, but was at the top of the league when you look at pressures, sacks, and all of those things. And now you've just added the Defensive Player of the Year along with the MVP from a year ago. So this is an extremely dangerous team right now with this type of move. Sucks they had to give up Jared Verse, who I think is a fantastic player. But when you get a guy like Myles Garrett on your defense, with what they've added in the secondary with the trade of Trent McDuffie and adding Jalen Watson, like, you've completely changed your defense and how you're going to be able to attack your opponents.
let's say Aaron Donald comes out of retirement to join Myles Garrett on this Rams defensive line. We're talking two surefire first ballot Hall of Fame players. Now, Donald's an interesting case because he's been retired for a couple years, right? 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald. Garrett's won 2. Donald, 8-time first team All-Pro. Myles Garrett, 5-time first team All-Pro. Like, this will evoke memories in terms of Hall of Fame tandems. The 2000 Ravens, the 85 Bears, the 02 Bucks, who had 4 Hall of Famers on that defense, the 61 Packers, the 70 Steelers. But I think it's fair to say, now, it would require Donald to at least be, 85% of what he was, and who knows if that would be the case. It would be the greatest defensive tackle, defensive end pairing in the history of football. And I don't think there's any argument against it if Donald can be even close to what he once was, along with Myles Garrett. The team that it reminds me of, and this team won the Super Bowl, and I am not insinuating that the Rams will win the Super Bowl. They could very easily not. The team it reminds me of, and the 07 Patriots would be a good example as well, who loaded up after losing the title game to the Colts and blowing that 21-3 lead in Indianapolis with Randy Moss and Wes Welker and others. It's got a little 94 San Francisco 49ers vibe to it. After losing back-to-back title games to the Dallas Cowboys, here's Deion Sanders. Here's Ken Norton Jr. Hell, even Richard Dent came over to join the San Francisco 49ers. Remember Richard Dent, San Francisco 49er? That's kind of the vibe that I get with this Rams team. They will be an even shorter price than they are now to win the Super Bowl. Will they win it? Maybe. But yeah, I think you're nuts if you don't look at what they're doing, if Donald comes out of retirement, and compare it to some of those teams that I've referenced in the history of the league. No one, I think, is going to say, if they're being honest, that Victor Wembanyama is going to be better than Michael. It's a crazy thing to say, right? But I think we can acknowledge, or maybe you disagree, and that's fine, right? That it's within the range of outcomes, given his age, his size, what he's already accomplished, that it might not be nuts to suggest that he could maybe breathe that rarefied air at some point and sit in the pantheon of greats, maybe along with Michael.
Yeah.
As someone who called these games with MJ, what do you think about that? Yeah, please.
He can put his name in the conversation, but I've always said that when it comes to basketball, centers,
opinions,
even as
and money time moments. BetMGM Tonight rolls on.
New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing Brunson can't do. Oof. Sometimes I can sing.
That's good.
Yeah, PJ, remind me never to try to be Alicia Keys again.
Yeah.
Welcome
Like
back.
that.
BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. Got PJ Glasser with me tonight, filling in for Brad Evans. Looking to take your MLB action to the next level this season? Boosted odds are here to crank up every pitch, swing, and home run. BetMGM is hooking you up with your very own MLB Odds Boost token. Just add any MLB bet slip. Just add any MLB bet to your bet slip. Activate your Odds Boost token and lock it in. If your bet hits, you're cashing out with an even bigger payout. All righty. It's just past 6:45 p.m. Eastern here. We got a busy Friday night in Major League Baseball. Let's go streaking.
We won a game yesterday. We win one today, that's 2 in a row. We win one tomorrow, that's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
We're going streaking! Yeah! All righty, here we go. We got the Glass Man with us tonight, and he is red hot. 9 out of 10 on his appearances here on our show. We'll get to PJ in a bit, but again, the premise, we go around the crew. Everybody picks one batter tonight to correctly, hopefully, get a hit. Our longest active streaker is Brad, and Big Noise is off tonight, but he has submitted a hitter. I'll give you that in just a bit. I got 3 in a row. Monty, who's also off, he took the night off. He's got 4 in a row. And then I've got 3 in a row. Combs 2 in a row. PJ looking to make it 2 in a row, going back to his last time on the show. And we'll see if Zach Kroll can get off the schneid tonight and get a W. I'll start us off here, PJ. I'm going with Chandler Simpson, the Tampa Bay Rays leadoff guy. You got Ryan Gusto on the mound tonight for the Marlins. I'm not even going to pretend to know who the hell that is. I think he just made his season debut. Was it his big league debut? No, he's been in the big leagues for a couple of years. Made 14 starts with the Astros and the Marlins last year, but this is going to be his first start of the season. So he's a starting pitcher, in his 2 outings. I think he operated as an opener once, and then he pitched 2 innings and got smashed last time out by the Nationals. So again, Chandler Simpson at the dish, and he's hitting .278 on the season. But you look at righties, right-handers. And again, who knows? He might only face Gusto once, but against righties this year, Chandler Simpson hitting .301. So I'll go with the Rays leadoff guy in a game that could have a ton of runs. Give me Chandler Simpson to get a knock. All right, PJ, you are 9 for 10 so far this year on BetMGM tonight. Who are you rocking with tonight to get a hit?
Yeah, Pat, some are calling me the Landry Shamet of going streaking. We're going to keep it rolling. I'm going to take Lars Nootbaar to get a hit against the Reds tonight and Brady Singer. I know I'm taking a Cardinal, Brandon. I'm sorry. Lars is 3 for 10 in his career against Brady Singer. He's hitless in his last 3 games, so I think he's due to get a base hit tonight against Cincinnati. If I'm going to be honest, boys, I really don't love the board. I like looking at divisional matchups, guys that have seen pitchers a lot, who have good history, so we're rolling with Lars Nootbaar tonight against the Reds.
And isn't it his season debut, by the way?
That I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's his season debut.
Okay.
He just activated him from the 60-day IL.
There we go. So
hopefully no rust. All right, how about this?
Yeah.
You're not the only one taking a Cardinal tonight. Brad has taken Alec Burleson for the Cardinals as well. He's 3 for 7 lifetime off of Reds pitcher Brady Singer. He's hitting .287 on the year. Yeah, so Brad's taking Alec Burleson. All right, Combs, you are on a 2-game streak. You hit with Max Muncy last night. Who you going with tonight?
Well, now that Brad and PJ are both dead to me, I am going with Juan Soto. Juan Soto against the San Diego Padres. Doesn't have a whole lot of at-bats versus Michael King, but does have a .302 career average with 29 hits in 25 games against the San Diego Padres lifetime.
There you go. And then finally, Zach Kroll filling in for our guy Monty tonight. He's going with Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers against the Seattle Mariners. So there you go. I got Chandler Simpson. Brad's going with Alec Burleson. PJ's going with Lars Nootbaar. Combs going with Juan Soto. And Zach is going with Riley Green. All right, when we come back, we'll dive deeper into the NBA Finals Game 2. I'm Pat Boyle. PJ Glass was with me. This is BetMGM Tonight.
No one, I think, is going to say, if they're being honest, that Victor Wembanyama is going to be better than Michael. It's a crazy thing to say, right? But I think we can acknowledge, or maybe you disagree, and that's fine, right? That it's within the range of outcomes, given his age, his size, what he's already accomplished, that it might not be nuts to suggest that he could maybe breathe that rarefied air at some point and sit in the pantheon of greats, maybe along with Michael.
Yeah.
As someone who called these games with MJ, what do you think about that? Yeah, please.
He can put his name in the conversation, but I've always said that when it comes to basketball, centers, even as they differ, Russell's not the same as Wilt, who's not the same as Olajuwon, not the same as a healthy Walton, and on, Kareem, obviously. Even as they differ, centers should be separate from guards and forwards. It's like comparing goalies in hockey to forward centers or defensemen. It's kind of a separate category. But the thing with Wemby is he's hard to categorize. He's obviously not just a classic post player. Those hardly exist anymore. The word unique is often overused when people really mean rare, but he is a unique player. The combination of skills, the body control, the size, the whole thing. I mean, they tell me he's 7'5". They list him at 7'4" for whatever reason. None of the all-time greats that I mentioned were as tall as Wemby. Most of them were more sturdy than Wemby appears to be. But he's only 22. He may fill out further, but he may not want to, because part of his approach, the body control and the way he prepares himself, meditation. You notice when he goes to the free throw line, he closes his eyes before the shot. The whole way in which he approaches maximizing his body for the tasks of basketball is new age. It's 21st century. Makes some of these comparisons difficult, but certainly he has a chance. Bottom line, he has a chance to be in the conversation of the all-time greats, if he isn't there already.
So my confidence level heading into this game tonight is actually pretty high for my New York Knicks. As we've talked about, and they haven't played since Memorial Day. It's been like 10 days since the Knicks. Feels like it's been forever since they played, right? The Knicks enter the NBA Finals on an 11-game win streak. To reiterate the point that I've made, the Knicks are the 5th team in the history of the league to have an 11-game postseason win streak. 89 Lakers, 99 Spurs, 01 Lakers, 17 Warriors, 26 Knicks. The 89 Lakers are the only team in that group that didn't win the title. Magic Johnson and Byron Scott both got hurt. Isaiah and the Pistons swept. The rest all won. The Knicks enter the NBA Finals with literally the best 11-game run in the history of professional basketball, regular season or postseason. I would be stunned if OG and Bridges didn't play well. And if OG and Bridges play well, it will mean Brunson gets his. And if that happens, I think the Knicks are going to win. Give me the New York... I almost don't even want to say it. I think the Knicks are going to win the championship. I'm oddly confident. I'm going to stop short of guaranteeing it, of course. I'm not going to Joe Namath or Mark Messier it. I'm not going to guarantee anything. They can lose, and if they lose, I'll be crushed. As crushed as you could be at almost 43 years old with a wife and kid, with bigger problems than favorite NBA team winning a championship. As crushed as I could be at this stage in my life if they don't win. I would trade right now none of my other favorite teams winning a title for the next 10 years for the Knicks to win this championship. I hope and pray it happens. And I actually think it will.
Welcome on back to BetMGM tonight here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. Got the Glass Man with me tonight. PJ Glasser's in for Brad Evans, and we are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Hour number 2 of this big Friday night kicks off right now. You can watch the show live on YouTube. Just search BetMGM Tonight and hit that subscribe button. You can watch the show live on Twitter at BetMGM Tonight. You can listen to the show on the Westwood One Sports app, the Odyssey app, SiriusXM Channel 375, and hundreds of local affiliates throughout North America. Talk and text line to join the show, 310-840-4910. Programming note, in an hour from now at 8 p.m. Eastern, our guy, JJ, John Jastrzemski, is going to join us here to preview Game 2 of the NBA Finals. My longtime buddy, PJ, you do a show with them every Sunday. JJ, big Knicks fan, SNY, New York podcast. So, yeah, it's going to be a New York flavor, but JJ's not a homer, so I'm very interested in hearing what he thinks is going to happen tonight in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. That's coming up in an hour from now. We'll do some blind ranks, the new game that has taken the country by storm, the 82-0 game. We're going to play that coming up here shortly. But in the first hour, we talked about Game 2. We talked about the Aaron Judge injury for the Yankees. And so we'll continue to take your predictions for Game 2 tonight. Is this a must-win game for the Spurs? How do you think Game 2 plays out? 310-840-4910. This segment is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. Real quickly, let's just get you here the injury report for Game 2. And there's only one person on it, and it's Mitchell Robinson, and he's probable to play. He's going to play. That's no surprise. Again, that fractured right pinky finger / fifth metacarpal. Mitch in Game 1 played 13 minutes, had 2 points, 6 rebounds, only attempted 1 free throw, and it was on an and one, so there was no hack of Mitch. And again, Mike Brown's got to be strategic. Really can only play him at the beginning of quarters, because if you play him in the middle of a quarter or at the end of a quarter, the Spurs are just going to do the hack of Mitch and send him to the free throw line, and he's shooting under 30% from the charity stripe this postseason. So Mitchell Robinson's good to go. He's not on the injury report, but I think he should be. Because I don't know, I'm not expecting much out of De'Aaron Fox. He could prove me very, very wrong tonight. But, the ankle doesn't look 100%. He doesn't look like he's got his boost that he normally has since he missed those first 2 games against Oklahoma City. In the 6 games since, he's only averaging 10 points per game on 34% shooting. This is a guy that averaged 19 per game in the regular season on 49% shooting. So with that being said, the finals are here. And this no sweat token belongs in your starting 5. Use it on an NBA Finals bet and get bonus bets back if you lose. Take your shot with a no sweat token for the NBA Finals. Here's how it works. Log into your existing account to receive an NBA Finals no sweat token. Add a qualifying NBA Finals bet to your bet slip. Bet up to the specified maximum stake and activate the token. And if your bet doesn't win, you'll receive your stake back and bonus bets up to the specified maximum amount. That is with our friends, of course, at BetMGM. All right, PJ, so here is the official lines from our friends at BetMGM here. Game 2, the Spurs up to a 6.5-point favorite. The total has risen 2 points from this morning. It's at 217.5. The Spurs minus 250 on the money line. The Knicks plus 200. So we've debated whether or not this is a must-win game tonight. I think it is. But either way, no matter what, if it is a must-win or it isn't a must-win, do the Spurs win? And do they win convincingly? There's only been a couple of times in NBA Finals here in the last 15 years where a home team of more than 3 points as a favorite has lost Game 1, and they've come back to win almost every single time. The home team falling behind in an 0-2 hole in the NBA Finals just simply doesn't happen all that often. So the Spurs got history on their side, PJ. Do you think they use it to ride their way to a 1-1 split going back to New York City?
I do, yeah. What's been so impressive about this run for San Antonio this postseason is that every time they've needed to really win, they've needed to win that game to not put themselves behind the 8 ball and not lose one of those games where then you have like a 5% chance to win the series. They've responded every single time. You go back to the Portland series in round 1. That was 1-1 heading back to Portland. They're down double digits in the second half. Castle leads a furious comeback with Harper, and then they win that game. They win the series. They lose Game 1 to Minnesota, and then you're thinking, man, maybe the Wolves, who've made it to back-to-back Western Conference Finals, using that experience, maybe they find a way to win this series. Then the Spurs win Game 2. They find a way to win Game 3, and then they win the series in 6. And then in that Oklahoma City series, when they go down 2-1, they win the Game 4. Then in game 6, they have to have it. They do. And then they win that game 7 to push them to the NBA Finals. Every time they've needed to win a game this series, they've answered. And there's no reason for me to think that this is going to be any different. I think the line is super interesting, Pat. The fact that we're up to 6.5 now with San Antonio kind of feels like one of these games to me where if the Spurs win, I think it's going to be by 15 plus. If the Knicks cover, I think they just win outright. Like if you're betting this game tonight, I'm not even messing around with the Knicks plus 6.5. I just bet them outright, man. Because you know what's going to happen, Pat, at the end of this game is we're going to either be saying, wow, they really gave us the Knicks as underdogs again. Like, please keep fading this team. Keep thinking they're due for a letdown. It just never happens. Or the Spurs are going to blow out the Knicks and people will be like, yep, the lines makers knew, the Sharps knew, this was due. The Spurs had to win this game. They took care of business. We got a 1-1 series. Here we go. So it's one of those games where regardless of who you take, something crazy, wild outcome's going to happen. And it's what I think it's going to be, man. I think either the Knicks win outright again, or I think the Spurs win pretty comfortably. So I like San Antonio, and I think there's a chance that they could win by like 15 points tonight.
Oh, okay. I mean, obviously, as a Knicks fan, I hope you're dead wrong, but I could see it, man. I mean, I can. And if the Knicks hadn't won, maybe it's because the Knicks have won 12 in a row. And so I feel like they kind of have that aura right now. They've got that gravitas, right? I mean, they were down 13. They couldn't hit a shot in the third. They had 3 points midway through the third quarter and got down by 13. And I was like, the fact that this, I remember saying it on the show on Wednesday night. I said, the fact that this isn't a 20-point game yet is a problem for San Antonio. And sure enough, Brunson on a hobbled knee comes back from the dead and leads the charge, and the Knicks produce another tremendous comeback victory. And not only that, they win the game by 10. So I tend to agree. I don't know how many scenarios there are where the Spurs win, but it's a close game. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple, but I tend to agree with you. If you think the Knicks keep this close, you might as well just take them to win again. And if the Spurs win, it does feel like it's going to be in blowout fashion. I think if the Knicks win this game, that we're looking at a sweep here. You know, I know you said you would still give the Spurs a chance. I don't agree, but you know, again, yeah, it's hard for as a Knicks fan. I'm holding out hope, but I kind of have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, and part of the reason why is because I mentioned it before. PJ, Tony Brothers is reffing this game, and Tony Brothers is a guy that he thinks he's the main character. You know, you look at games that he's ref this year, and it's tracked. You know, the over is 44-28. Because why? Because the guy calls 80 fouls of a freaking game. And so you have two very good free throw shooting teams. And if there's a lot of whistles, there's going to be a lot of more points. There's a lot more stoppage. And honestly, PJ, I think a more disrupted game with the rhythm, I think that helps San Antonio. I do. You would think, all right, well, you can make the argument it helps the Knicks because it maybe takes the crowd out of it. If there's a ton of free throws, they don't have a lot of open play to get involved in and get excited about. But I don't know. I feel like the Spurs offense was really, their rhythm was kind of disjointed anyway. And so if you're telling me Wemby goes to the free throw line 15 times again tonight, and you got Castle going to the free throw line and Vassell or Fox going to the free throw line, I think that's going to help the Spurs. I do. And I think it's going to help the over. I think there's going to be a lot more points just because we're going to get more free throws. But aside from the referee stuff, I need to see Wemby bounce back tonight, man. And I've been a critic of his. I've been reluctant to believe in the Wembanyama superpower that he's the best player in the NBA already and he's the face of the league. After the fourth quarter he had, man, he better step up. And you mentioned it earlier on the show. We're going to be watching very closely the matchup between him and Karl Anthony Towns. And because Cat was the better player in game one, and he essentially locked Wemby down. 2 for 11 was Wembanyama when guarded by Karl Anthony Towns. So I need to see Victor Wembanyama have a bounce-back performance tonight. He had 26 points and 12 rebounds, but it was a very inefficient performance.
No doubt. And I give Kat a ton of credit because, as you know, the thing that always worries me with Karl Anthony Towns is the foul trouble. That's one thing he's not good at. He gets way too many cheapies. He gets way too many fouls 90 feet away from the basket, and he was really good about that. I think he understands how important he is to his team in this series. We'll see if he can keep that composure again tonight. That's going to be critical. But yeah, I mean, that was the huge matchup of game one. His play was the reason that the Knicks were able to win. He brought them back, and then Brunson brought him home. So he's going to have to be great again. Pat, something I wanted to ask you that I'm going to ask JJ later on in the show is, has it still hit you yet that the Knicks are this good? Like, do you just, when you turn on the TV, do you just expect them to win every game? Or is there still a part of you that, like, when you watch them, you're just still waiting for the other foot to drop? Like, for the other shoe to drop. You know that this pace at which they're playing is historical. It's arguably the greatest stretch of basketball we've ever seen from any team. You would think they just can't keep playing like this, and they are. So has it gotten to a point where you've seen it for over a month now to where you're just like, yeah, I see Knicks basketball, I expect them to win? Or because of, past horrors and how they've been for most of your life, you're still waiting for those old Knicks to show up?
No, I think it's probably in the middle somewhere. I don't just expect them to win. I was shocked by the comeback in game one. I thought they were done. I thought they were losing that game. I thought they were getting blown out by the Cavs in game one. That's when I was like, wow, okay, well, now I was waiting for the other shoe to drop after they were down 20 in game one. I was like, really? They're going to blow this? They're going to lose this series to the Cavaliers, who just played a game 7 2 days ago? Are you freaking kidding me? Since then, it's just kind of been, I'm just soaking it all in. I'm just enjoying every single second of it, man. And I'm still kind of in awe of what's happening. It has hit me. I'm just enjoying the ride, man. I don't know how to say it,
As
right? I mean, I'm trying to think. Have your teams ever had as like scintillating of a freaking run like this? Like, I guess the Orioles when they went to the ALCS a decade ago, right? That was about 10 years ago at this point.
I mean, when the Caps finally broke through, and watching Ovechkin finally win it, that whole run was pretty unbelievable. I think the closest thing, like from a stretch standpoint, though, was when Lamar won that first MVP. They lost to the Browns at home, and they were 2-2 going into Week 5. And then they won 12 straight games to end the regular season before losing that divisional game to Derrick Henry, Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill, and the Titans in Baltimore. But that 12-game stretch in the regular season, highlighted by, you remember that spin move he had in Cincinnati when he takes the handoff and he goes and he hits the B button on the controller? That 12-game run was probably the most fun I've ever had as a fan for my pro teams. So the fact to watch your team, Pat, doing this in the postseason, I can't imagine. It's got to be the greatest thing ever.
It is. I mean, it's a magic carpet ride. They haven't lost since the night of the NFL draft. They haven't lost since April 26th.
I know.
And
it's crazy.
And they've won in so many ways. Again, 22 points down against the Cavs in game one of the conference finals, 13 points down against the Spurs, or 14 points down against the Spurs the other night, blowing teams out from start to finish, up by 30 in the second quarter of games. So I've been a little bit of everything. And I don't want it to end. But I'm so freaking tense and eager to see this team win a championship. But I mean, again, no other way to say, man, I'm just soaking in every single freaking minute here of this postseason run. And I know that there's never going to be anything like this again. So, when you think back, you're like, where, those were the good old days. I'm living in the good old days right now. After watching the Knicks be so terrible for essentially 20 years of my entire childhood, save 1 year with Melo, where I thought they had a chance to win it all. This is like the culmination of the last 5 years. So I don't know how it gets better than this unless they win the title and they go back to back again next year. But in terms of a single greatest postseason run, I don't think anything will ever maybe top this again in my entire life. So I better soak it in and try to just like save my images into my brain's memory bank forever and throw out all the other stuff that has happened in my life. Throw out a couple Yankees World Series, throw out one of those Giants Super Bowls. I've got to keep this Knicks run no matter how it ends, in my brain forever.
My next question for you, if you got your hands on a ticket to Game 3, how much money would you need to sell that ticket?
Oh, how much? I would probably. So I have no problem being honest. I still have probably $80,000 of student loans to pay off.
Okay.
That, on the surface, it doesn't seem like that much, especially because a ticket to the game, literally, as you mentioned it before, PJ, the nosebleeds in Game 3 of Madison Square Garden is $9,700.
Yes.
$80,000 doesn't seem like that much, but if I could be debt free, I don't know, maybe 80,000 and then enough to put a down payment on like a nice home, I don't know, 500 grand. Like I'm trying to answer this as realistically as possible. What
oh my God, that much? I thought you would have gone like 50. I thought you would have sold it for like 50, 60. $500K is what you would need.
Dude, think about it. It's a $10,000 ticket for the bleeds. If you're telling me I got courtside seats, which are literally like $100,000 a pop right now, then I'm probably not selling that for anything less than $1 million. But if you give me a ticket to the bleeds, all right, maybe 80 grand. Maybe I'll sell it for 80 grand.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
Courtside seats. That would be, courtside seats. I think that's fair. I think somewhere around $1 million would be right. I think
do courtside seats with all the celebrities in the NBA Finals.
I know.
At the Garden.
Yeah.
I
agree.
You could say the sentimental value of that is worth at least $1 million.
That I think's fair. The nosebleeds, I was more so thinking like 40, 50K. I think I'd give away my ticket for that. But the court side, Pat, I think you're right. I think I need $1 million to sell that ticket. So man, is there like a lottery that you can enter? Like, is there something that you can do to try and get a ticket, or it's just, you got to pony up and just have that kind of money to go?
You gotta pony up, man. You gotta have that kind of money. And for some people, it's worth it. I'm sorry. It's not, it's one thing. I've sat in the bleeds in Madison Square Garden. It's a tough watch. It's a tough watch, man. To say you were in the building, that's great. You're watching the game through binoculars, dude. Like, you're better off watching the game on the little TV screens that they have in some, like, there is an overhang that will block basically everything that's like from the backboard up. You don't even see anything other than the court itself, and you're so far away if you're in the bleeds of the Garden. And there's plenty of sections where, like, you look at the seating chart and you're like, that's not bad. And then you sit in the Garden and you realize how huge it is, how far away you are. I mean, it's tough, man. Like, you have to pony up, but to say you were in the building, to say you walked in Madison Square Garden and watched the game, that's great. But I'm going to be watching the game on my screen tonight. And as soon as we get off the air, I'll probably watch the final 5 minutes on my TV, my nice TV downstairs. And I just, you can't beat that for me. Can't beat that.
Were you off the air for Game 1? Were you able to watch that last like 3-4 minute flurry when Brunson just went nuts and carried him home?
I think there was 6 minutes or 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter when we got off the air. And it's probably going to be the same thing tonight, because I'm not expecting the game to actually tip until about 8:45 p.m. Eastern. And it lasts about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be signing off tonight, PJ, unless it's a blowout. We're not going to be signing off tonight knowing what the result of the game is, unfortunately. So, yeah, I was able to watch the last couple of minutes, and my dog was starting to go nuts because I'm clapping, I'm rolling up the shorts and I'm rolling up the sleeves, and I'm locked in, ready to go. So,
it's going to be a good one, man. And look, I mean, we knew the Knicks fans would travel for Game 1, but just watching those crowd shots behind their bench and how many of them were there, and the fact that they won Game 1, there'll be even more Knicks fans there tonight for that game. And that plays a factor, even in a town like San Antonio, where they have the only pro sports team. They got a great fan base. The Knicks obviously were able to get their fair share of fans in there, and they'll have it in again tonight. So it's important for the Spurs to get off to a really good start. I know we were talking about the full game spread, Pat, at 6.5. I was eyeing San Antonio minus 2.5 in the first quarter because, again, a lot of people feel like their season's on the line. They got to get off to a good start. Wemby's got to set the tone. They got to get this idea that they're fatigued, that they're rusty from that Oklahoma City series. They got to be the aggressor. So I think that San Antonio, a quick start is so pivotal for them that, for people wanting to bet the game, if you do like the Spurs, I think maybe looking at San Antonio first quarter spread could be another angle for you tonight as well.
All right, we have a couple of texts I want to get to here. If you want to join the show, you could call, you could text. What was that?
I think he said, I am cursed.
You
maybe?
are cursed.
That's
Cursed,
Combs
yeah.
playing the Danhausen. That's the WWE guy. Paints his face like a psychopath. He apparently has cursed all of the Knicks opponents since he went on with Stephen A. Smith. So the Knicks haven't lost since then. So we'll see. But yeah, you want to join the show, you can call, you can text 310-840-4910. Our guy Chuck in Alabama texts in 7-game streak. I've texted my picks in every night. You guys are on air. Tonight, Yandy Diaz gets a hit. Let's go streaking in all caps. Pat, I don't know who Ben is. He texted Pat, Ben, PJ, the Knicks are going to sweep. Bobby Witt, AL MVP. Wow, okay. So Chuck in Alabama saying the Knicks are going to sweep. Bobby Witt's going to win AL MVP, and he says Yandy Diaz gets a hit. Now, I believe that Rays game is underway. I did pick Chandler Simpson. The Rays already have 3 runs in the top of the first inning. Chandler Simpson did not get a hit. Yandy Diaz did not get a hit. Go figure. There are the only 2 guys to go over. Well, Jonathan Aranda walked. But the Rays just put up a 3 spot in the first inning. And Chandler Simpson and Yandy Diaz, the only 2 to actually record an out in the first 6 batters of that lineup. So go figure. But
That's
Chuck,
crazy.
it's still early. Still early. And then we've got Adrian from Maryland weighs in. I don't get the NBA. Why do they not keep the same referee crew for the whole series? That's like the NFL changing the crew at halftime. Pat, no worries if it's close. The Knicks win. Wemby is going to press, and that might work against the Spurs. Adrian from Maryland. Yeah, I don't get that either. PJ, I've talked about this before. Why change up the crews, man? Like, why? There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it other than like the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that sometimes the NBA, all right, we saw how this game went. Let's get this referee in here, like Tony Brothers, who's going to call a ton of fouls. That might help the Spurs. That'll help them win game 2. But then again, they do this all the time. I just don't understand. Why not have the same crew so the players know what kind of defense you can and cannot play? I think it would just make for a better game and a better series all the time.
I agree with that. I've actually never thought about that, Pat, but that's a really good point that you and Adrian from Maryland bring up. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think they would do it. The reason that they don't, obviously, is because, they like to pay all those guys. They like to reward the refs that have good regular seasons, good postseasons, and their reward is being able to ref in the NBA Finals. So I think that's just what it comes down to, is to try and give everybody a little piece of the finals so everybody can get that experience. Guys get rewarded for it. But yeah, it would make so much sense. It would be such better basketball if these guys had the same officials every game. So they knew what they were looking at. They knew what kind of fouls they were looking for. It would make for better basketball. We'll never see it, but it would definitely make a lot of sense if they ever went that route.
All right, one last quick text here. Comes from Ryan in Pensacola, Florida. Listen to y'all every day on my way home from work. Thanks for getting me through the week. Have a great weekend, guys. Go Knicks. That's right, Ryan. Good stuff, brother. You're welcome. Let's go freaking Knicks. 310-840-4910. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll play the 82-0 game. We'll do a little blind ranks NBA version. Stay tuned. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. I'm Pat Boyle. This is BetMGM tonight on Westwood One Sports.
Initially, I want to say Seattle. The reason, if I'm picking one just off of paper, talent, coaches, and all of that, it would be Seattle. My issue is that it's so damn hard to get back to the Super Bowl from one year to the next year that probability chances are it just won't happen. I'm going to say the Chicago Bears would be my sleeper type of team.
Okay.
What can they continue to develop into in year 2 with Ben Johnson, year 2 with Caleb Williams doing what he was able to do last year, learning on the job, but still showing us some of those traits that you can take over and win a game at the very end. Now, how do you continue to build that up to be able to play those first 3 quarters and all that the same way you play the last 45 seconds on a 2-minute drive to go win a game, and with some of the advancements they've made on the defensive side of the ball? I would say that would be my sleeper surprise pick rather than going with just the norm of teams. I would go on a limb and say the Chicago Bears.
What's your favorite game or event that you've ever been a part of, called, announced, etc.?
I really can't single out any one, but when I'm asked, I have 3 that I immediately just toss out there. I didn't call Kirk Gibson's home run, the pinch hit home run in Game 1 of 1988's World Series off Dennis Eckersley. Jack Buck had a memorable call on radio, and Vin Scully had one of his greatest calls on television. But I was the pregame and postgame host for NBC, and that remains the most
Late games, loud opinions, and money time moments. BetMGM Tonight rolls on.
All right, welcome on back. BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans, and I'm Pat Boyle. The phone number to join the show is 310-840-4910. Get you a quick scoreboard update here on baseball because we're going to be talking all about the finals. Basically going to be having a watch party once the action begins tonight. You got the rivalry that has so little juice tonight because of the Knicks in the NBA Finals. PJ, Yankees-Red Sox. I got to be honest, I really couldn't give a damn about this game here. The Yankees lead the Sox 1-0 in the bottom of the second. Ryan Weathers, the young lefty on the mound for the Yanks. Sonny Gray on the mound for the Red Sox. And we talked about Ben Rice needing to step up. And if he could win the AL MVP, well, he hit a 377-foot bomb into the seats in right field in the bottom of the first. So the Yankees are up 1-0. PJ, your Orioles in action against the Blue Jays. What is going on for the O's?
Yeah, that game's tied up at 1. Adley Rutschman hit a solo homer in the top of the first, and then the Blue Jays answer with a sac fly. Vladdy hit Springer in, so they're tied up at 1 there in Toronto. Big series between the O's and the Blue Jays. Both teams right there in the thick of it in the wild card race. Both teams 30-33. So that is a big series here in early June, but those teams are tied up at 1 right now.
Okay, sweet. As we mentioned, the Rays lead the Marlins 3-0. A hot start for Tampa Bay. Looking to keep their lead over the Yankees in the AL East. Pirates and the Braves just started. How about Combs' Cubbies, PJ? Oh, Friday matinee at Wrigleyville. Yikes, they got smashed 18-3 against the Giants. I mean, are you serious?
We suck again!
Yeah. I mean, holy smokes, man. Robbie Ray, 5 shutout innings. And there was homers all over the park. The Giants hit how many home runs in this game? 7 home runs en route to an 18-3 shellacking. The wind was blowing out, and it was a bad day for Edward Cabrera. His ERA now balloons to over 5. I mean, that is not a good way to start a weekend.
As we were getting ready to hop on to do the show and hop on the call, I took a quick peek at the score and I saw 16-3, and I was like, holy smokes. The Cubbies they're struggling big time, man. They had that really great stretch that they were on where they couldn't lose at home, and now all of a sudden they're really struggling to win games. So they I don't know. I know our guy Brandon feels like they got to make a change with their GM, Jed Hoyer, and figure that out. But they got to get going here in a hurry. They don't have the luxury like a lot of these American League teams do, where those teams in that final wild card race are below 500. There are a lot of good teams in the National League, so they got to get back on track here relatively soon.
Yeah, and then you got Mariners and the Tigers all squared away at 1 in the bottom of the third. Rob Refsnyder with a single for Seattle, and then you had a fielder's choice just now for the Tigers, so that's 1 apiece in a battle between Framber Valdez and Brian Wu, 2 of the better pitchers in the American League. And then the Phils, 4 games over 500. I can't believe it, how quickly this team turned their season around, going up against the upstart White Sox, who are both teams 33-29. Chicago jumped out to a 2-0 lead early, and then Brandon Marsh hit a 2-run bomb, and Alec Boehm hit a 2-run double. The Phillies are up 5-2 in the top of the third. Jesus Luzardo versus Anthony Kay, the pitching matchup in Philadelphia. Alrighty, 310-840-4910. So we got you caught up on all the baseball scores going on. We'll take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll play the 82-0 game. Blind ranks. A lot of fun. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us here. We got JJ, John Jastrzemski, coming up at the top of the hour. Tip-off, Game 2 of the NBA Finals, an hour away. Get your predictions in. And is this a must-win game tonight for the Spurs? 310-840-4910. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. This is BetMGM Tonight on Westwood One Sports.
What's your favorite game or event that you've ever been a part of, called, announced, etc.?
I really can't single out any one, but when I'm asked, I have 3 that I immediately just toss out there. I didn't call Kirk Gibson's home run, the pinch hit home run in Game 1 of 1988's World Series off Dennis Eckersley. Jack Buck had a memorable call on radio, and Vin Scully had one of his greatest calls on television, but I was the pregame and postgame host for NBC, and that remains the most theatrical baseball moment I've ever been connected to. Not necessarily the biggest or the best, but the most theatrical in the way it played out. And I interviewed Gibson immediately on the field in the aftermath of this miraculous home run. And I actually said that this reminded me of Roy Hobbs at bat, Robert Redford as Roy Hobbs in the movie The Natural, which was fairly new at that time during the 1980s. And what NBC's producers did, and it was brilliant, was they went to work and they intercut Redford's at bat with Gibson's at bat, along with Randy Newman's soundtrack from The Natural. And that's the way we came on the air before Game 2, because it was that dramatic and that theatrical in the way the whole thing played out. You couldn't have staged it any more dramatically than that. So that's one. Another is Muhammad Ali lighting the torch at the opening ceremony of the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, a moment both powerful and poignant. And the third would be Michael Jordan's last shot as a Chicago Bull. We thought at the time it was perhaps his last shot of the NBA, but he did come back for a couple of seasons with the Wizards. But essentially, that's the way the curtain came down. And talk about theatrical, one of the greatest careers in the history of American sports ends in the most dramatic way possible. Classic jump shot, down by a point, changes it to up by a point, closes out the series, closes out his career, 6 titles, 6 MVPs in the finals, never lost in the finals. That's a perfect punctuation.
May have pushed off, but I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, and Michael Jordan ruined my childhood saying that.
Stop. If that play happens in the second quarter of a regular season game, no one even comments on it. Russell's momentum was already carrying him in the other direction. The little hand on his tush, as I said in the Last Dance documentary, was the equivalent of a maitre d' showing a customer.
Win a championship, I can't shake it. I'm being honest up front about my hate for them.
Right now, this is the best team in the National Football League. They were Super Bowl favorites before they added Myles Garrett to this team. To me, this is a special trade. I think even for me personally, I was in Cleveland Myles' rookie year when he got there, and the slogan on our team at that time from Hugh Jackson was "Embrace the suck." We knew what it was going to be coming off a 1-15 season, and then we went 0-16.
I was going to say, you did. You did.
Yes,
I hate
exactly.
to say that. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But...
So for Myles, and he's played in 3 playoff games throughout his 9 years, but he's done so much damage on teams that weren't able to get over the hump or even get close to where they wanted to get. So for him personally, you come into the league on a bad team with a Hall of Fame player like Joe Thomas, who you saw and probably got to go against every single day in practice. And you saw a guy that finished his last game against the Titans when he got injured in a Hall of Fame career, never getting to see that type of team success. So now you fast forward for Myles, 9 years of that. Now you get an opportunity to go play in 7 primetime games, and you get to chase a Lombardi trophy. So to me, this is special. This is a Rams defense that fell apart towards the end of the season, but was at the top of the league when you look at pressures, sacks, and all of those things. And now you've just added the Defensive Player of the Year along with the MVP from a year ago. So this is an extremely dangerous team right now with this type of move. Sucks they had to give up Jared Verse, who I think is a fantastic player. But when you get a guy like Myles Garrett on your defense, with what they've added in the secondary with the trade of Trent McDuffie and adding Jalen Watson, like, you've completely changed your defense and how you're going to be able to attack your opponents.
Late games, loud opinions, and money time moments. BetMGM Tonight rolls on.
Welcome on back. BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. Phone number to join the show, 310-840-4910. I need this game to start already, PJ. I need the freaking game to start. Well, I got thoughts on what I'm going to eat tonight for dinner. We'll save that for a little bit. Again, we got John Jastrzemski coming up here at the top of the hour. SNY, New York podcast. We'll get all his thoughts, what he thinks of game 2, what he thinks of this series. That's coming up at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern. But PJ and Combs, you guys want to play the 82-0 game? I've seen it. I've seen it all over the place. I had our listener, one of our great listeners, Ross in New Jersey, message me about it and tell me that this was a great game. He played it. I think he got a 77-5, or maybe it was 69-13. I forget. Anyway, I don't know how to play the game. Other than that, you have to form a lineup, a starting 5 that would go 82-0, right?
Yeah. So basically, the way that it works is you spin a wheel, and it gives you a random team and an era from that team. So it's 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, right? So it'll give you a random team and a random era. And then you've got to take a player from that team and from that era to fill out a position on a basketball team. Some players you can put at multiple positions. Some players you can only put at one position. If they, like Wilt Chamberlain, he can't play power forward, can't play small forward, can only play center. So it's not like you could stack up, stats if you were to get like Shaq and Wilt Chamberlain and all that. You have to go with a position that they're available. Now there is a wild card spin for each category. So at any point, you can change your team or you can change the era of that team. So, like, say you get the Bulls and you get the 70s Bulls and you want to take a chance at getting the 80s or 90s so you could pick up Michael Jordan, then you could, switch the era. Okay? So there is those 2 wildcard spins. But the goal is to build a team that goes 82-0. And I've played this game quite a bit since it came out. The best that I've gotten is 80-2. Is the best that I've gotten. So I've gotten close. I haven't hit the Holy Grail yet. I've had a couple friends text me 82-0, and then I deleted their numbers and I blocked them because they're not allowed to call me anymore. So we can do this. Let's let PJ go first so that you can see kind of how this works. We'll let PJ go first. Try to go 82-0. Whoever has the best record at the end of this, we'll crown you the champion. All right, okay. PJ, you ready?
I'm ready to roll, Brandon. Let's go.
Spin the wheel. You get the Chicago Bulls of the 2020s. The top name on that Bulls team is DeMar DeRozan, who averaged 25 and a half, 25, 5, and 5 is what he averaged.
So, Pat, you also get two chances to change where you can change the team or you can change the era. So when Brandon says the Bulls, I immediately think that I want to change the era, right? To obviously go to like the 90s would be ideal. Or if you get like a certain era, you can change it to a new team. So Brando, I think that's what I want to do. I want to change the era with the Bulls. And then hopefully we get the 90s to get Michael. So I'll roll the dice with the first one.
All right, your era is now the 2010s. And you have Zach LaVine is the top. Zach LaVine is still the top name, and D Rose is the second name on that because LaVine averaged 21, 4.5 and 4, and D Rose averaged 20, 3 and 6.
And is LaVine's position only shooting guard, or was he considered point guard too?
Nope. So Derrick Rose's only position is point guard. LaVine is point guard, small forward, and shooting guard.
Oh, okay. I'll put LaVine in at the shooting guard spot. We'll start him there.
LaVine at the shooting guard. All right.
Okay, I thought there was like trivia involved. I thought you get a team and an era, and then you have to like basically name the best player.
No. You can do it that way. There is a basketball IQ version of this where you can play where the stats aren't allowed. But all right, so this time you have The Brooklyn Nets of the 80s. Mike Newlin, the shooting guard, is the top name here.
Okay.
Orlando Woodridge is the second.
So I'll go with him. So can you slide Levine for me to the point guard then? And then I'll take
Sure.
I'll take that guy at shooting guard.
That guy at shooting guard.
Newlin.
That's great.
I've never even heard of him before.
Mike
Yeah,
Newlin.
I've never heard of him. Never heard of Mike Newlin in my life.
All right, now you have, oh God, the Miami Heat of the 80s.
That's the worst one, Pat. The worst one is the Heat in the 80s. The absolute worst. So
Yikes.
I'm going to I got to change the team then. Yeah, let me change the team, Brandon. Let's do that.
All right, your
Give me
new
Give
team
me like the Celtics.
is the Clippers of the 80s. World Be Free is the number one name here, and he is at point guard or shooting guard. So you could put Levine at small forward.
Yep. Let's do that. All
right.
Let's slide him there.
World
All right, so
Be
you got
Free.
power forward. Need a power forward in the center.
All right, now you
And I
have
got no
the Golden State
spins
Warriors of the
Nonsense.
1990s.
Man, I know. That would have been so
Jeez.
good. Do I have any good big men?
So you have Mitch Richmond at shooting guard, Chris Mullin, Latrell Sprewell. There's no real good big men. You got Chris Webber at center or power forward. He's like 6th on the list.
Ugh. All right, yeah, we'll just slide him in at power forward.
All right. And
This is not
for
gonna be
your
good.
center, you will have to choose from the Denver Nuggets of the 1970s.
This is brutal. Yeah, I was getting some
Your
good teams, just not
center
the right
is
era.
Dan Easel. Dan Easel or Isel. I don't know how you pronounce it.
That's
He
my
averaged
guy.
He averaged 29 and 3.
Okay, let's go with him. I'm
Your-
going to say this is like a 62 win team. This team is not good.
Yeah, it's even worse than that, PJ. You are 56 and 26.
Oh,
56 and 26.
yeah,
All right,
that
Pat.
that was just
Are
a
you
gross
ready?
team. Pat,
I'm
good
ready.
luck to you. Beginner's luck, baby.
All right.
82-0 first shot.
Here we go, Pat.
Let's-
Your first team is the Orlando Magic of the 2000s. The top
Ooh.
name here is Tracy McGrady,
T-Mac.
small
Yeah.
forward and shooting guard. Steve Francis is the second name on this list. And then you got Dwight Howard, 4th on this list at 17, 12, and 1. He's center of power.
Give me T-Mac.
T-Mac. Do you want him at small forward or shooting guard for right now?
Let's go shooting guard.
All right, shooting guard. All right, your next team is the Sacramento Kings of the 1990s. You have Mitch Richmond is the number one name here. Chris Webber is second. Antoine Carr is third. Mitch Richmond is a shooting guard, so you would have to move T-Mac to small forward if you were to stick with this, or you can change the era or the team.
I will change. I got the Kings of the 90s.
Yeah.
Mitch Richmond is a Hall of Famer, but I will. You know what? Let's stick with the 90s. Let's change the team. Change the team. Stick with the 90s.
Give us the
Change
Bulls.
the team.
Give us the Bulls.
You now
Give us the
have
Bulls.
the Denver Nuggets of the 90s. Orlando Woolridge is the number one name on here at small forward.
I have to take him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the way
Unfortunately,
I
I mean-
would go with this one. He averaged
Yeah.
25, 6, and 2. So not
You
terrible.
could-
Sixth
you
man of the
could
year.
You could roll the dice and try and change the era with Denver and hope to get Jokic, but then you wouldn't have any left. But you could do that too if you wanted.
Nah, I guess I'll take Orlando Woolridge.
All right. Orlando Woolridge it is. Let's spin her up. Your next team is the Charlotte Hornets. They love you in the 1990s. Charlotte Hornets of the 90s. Glenn Rice at small forward is number one. Alonzo Mourning at center or power forward is the number 2 name on this team.
And I already have Orlando Woolridge at small forward, and I have T-Mac at shooting guard, right?
Correct.
All right, give me Zoe.
You can change the era.
I'll take Alonzo. No, I'll take Alonzo Mourning. Give me Alonzo.
Okay.
At
center or power forward?
Power forward.
All right, let's go here. And now your new team is the Toronto Raptors of the 2000s. The number one name,
Easy.
Vince Carter.
Yep, nice.
You would have to move Alonzo Mourning to center to put Vince Carter at at power forward.
Yep, no problem. Give me Vince Carter, power forward. Move Alonzo Mourning to center. And then I still got Tracy McGrady at shooting guard and Orlando Woolridge at small forward. So I'm going point guard here no matter what to finish.
Yep. We need
You've
like
got point
Luka or
guard.
Magic or Steph.
And you get a chance to reuse your era because you got the Washington Wizards of the 1960s. Their best point guard, Earl Monroe, who averaged 25, 4, and 4.
Earl the Pearl.
Earl the Pearl. That's not a bad one, Pat, honestly. I mean,
That's
I don't
really
know if
not. I
Earl's
mean,
numbers were
I think I
any
got to go with
better
Earl the
than
Pearl.
I
What's
agree.
what's another point guard in Wizards history that you would look to get that would be better than Earl Monroe? Can you think of one? Because I can't think of one.
I don't think anybody.
No.
John Wall is
Your
probably the next best
best
point
would be
guard in
maybe they
Wizards
get
history.
Jordan. Jordan in the 2000s.
Yeah, but that's not that good.
No.
No,
So
give me
Earl
Earl the
Monroe?
Pearl. That's an easy one. That's a Hall of Famer. It's a
All right.
that's a 75th all 75th anniversary team. Earl the Pearl.
Yeah.
You
Pat's
you
team's
scored
definitely better than mine.
You
Yeah.
scored an A as a dynasty team at 65 and 17.
Okay.
65
I
and
was hoping for-
17.
I was hoping for 70 wins. Orlando Woolridge killed
mean,
me.
It's 10 more wins than PJ had.
Dude, that was one of the worst teams I've ever put together. that was some bad spinning, Brandon, on your part. That was some bad spinning.
That's a bad click of the mouse. That's a terrible click of the mouse, Brandon.
Whatever you did. Next time, a little softer, maybe a bigger wind up, something. That was fun. Pat, what'd you think? What'd you think, 82-0?
It's good. I like it. Now, is there a limit on how many times you can play this game, or can you just spam it until you get?
You can keep going. You keep going until you build an 82-0 team. Yes,
that is correct.
I saw somebody post
where it's once a
team.
day.
They might have.
Right. Yeah.
They might have used AI or just, played 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
exactly.
do football.
Yeah.
You can do baseball. You can do basketball. So they got them for those three sports that you can do. But I still have never gotten 82-0 in basketball, so I'm not going to play any of the other sports until I get this one someday, hopefully.
So how many positions do you have to build out for football to get a 17-0 team?
So
I didn't even know
I
you
think
could
you can
do
either
that.
do.
So that's news to me.
I think football, you have a chance of doing offense and defense, or I think you can only choose offense if you want, I believe. And I think it might be the same with baseball, where you can maybe do only a batting lineup, and then you can do one with a batting lineup and then pitchers. I'm not really sure. I haven't done those yet.
Oh my God,
but,
PJ!
I think that's the words.
We got
Did
a
I
break.
just change your world.
Yes.
We got a break. Shout out Mike Francesa, by the way. Hey, Mike, you think the Yankees can go 162-0 this year? All right, coming up next, we'll have John Jastrzemski join us here on BetMGM tonight. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. This is Westwood One Sports.
Let's say Aaron Donald comes out of retirement to join Myles Garrett on this Rams defensive line. We're talking two surefire first ballot Hall of Fame players. Now, Donald's an interesting case because he's been retired for a couple years, right? 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald. Garrett's won 2. Donald, 8-time first team All-Pro. Myles Garrett, 5-time first team All-Pro. Like, this will evoke memories in terms of Hall of Fame tandems. The 2000 Ravens, the 85 Bears, the 02 Bucks, who had 4 Hall of Famers on that defense, the 61 Packers, the 70 Steelers. But I think it's fair to say, now, and it would require Donald to at least be, 85% of what he was, and who knows if that would be the case. It would be the greatest defensive tackle, defensive end pairing in the history of football. And I don't think there's any argument against it if Donald can be even close to what he once was, along with Myles Garrett. The team that it reminds me of, and this team won the Super Bowl, and I am not insinuating that the Rams will win the Super Bowl. They could very easily not. The team it reminds me of, and the 07 Patriots would be a good example as well, who loaded up after losing the title game to the Colts and blowing that 21-3 lead in Indianapolis with Randy Moss and Wes Welker and others. It's got a little 94 San Francisco 49ers vibe to it. After losing back-to-back title games to the Dallas Cowboys, here's Deion Sanders. Here's Ken Norton Jr. Hell, even Richard Dent came over to join the San Francisco 49ers. Remember Richard Dent, San Francisco 49er? That's kind of the vibe that I get with this Rams team. They will be an even shorter price than they are now to win the Super Bowl. Will they win it? Maybe. But yeah, I think you're nuts if you don't look at what they're doing, if Donald comes out of retirement, and compare it to some of those teams that I've referenced in the history of the league. No one, I think, is going to say, if they're being honest, that Victor Wembanyama is going to be better than Michael. It's a crazy thing to say, right? But I think we can acknowledge, or maybe you disagree, and that's fine, right? That it's within the range of outcomes, given his age, his size, what he's already accomplished, that it might not be nuts to suggest that he could maybe breathe that rarefied air at some point and sit in the pantheon of greats, maybe along with Michael.
Yeah.
As someone who called these games with MJ, what do you think about that? Yeah, please.
He can put his name in the conversation, but I've always said that when it comes to basketball, centers, even as they differ, Russell's not the same as Wilt, who's not the same as Olajuwon, not the same as a healthy Walton, and on, Kareem, obviously. Even as they differ, centers should be separate from guards and forwards. It's like comparing goalies in hockey to forward centers or defensemen. It's kind of a separate category. But the thing with Wemby is, he's hard to categorize. He's obviously not just a classic post player. Those hardly exist anymore. He is, the word unique is often overused when people really mean rare, but he is a unique player. The combination of skills, the body control, the size, the whole thing. I mean, they tell me he's 7'5". They list him at 7'4" for whatever reason. None of the all-time greats that I mentioned were as tall as Wemby. Most of them were more sturdy than Wemby appears to be, but he's only 22. He may fill out further, but he may not want to, because part of his approach, the body control and the way he prepares himself, meditation. You notice when he goes to the free throw line, he closes his eyes before the shot. The whole way in which he approaches maximizing his body for the tasks of basketball is new age. It's 21st century. Makes some of these comparisons difficult, but certainly he has a chance. Bottom line, he has a chance.
A shuts down. The games light up. This is BetMGM Tonight on Westwood One Sports.
Hey, welcome on back to BetMGM Tonight here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. I got the Glass Man with me tonight. PJ Glasser's in for Brad Evans. And we are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Hour number 3 of this Friday night show kicks off right now. You can watch the show live on YouTube. Just search BetMGM Tonight and hit that subscribe button. You can watch the show live on Twitter at BetMGM Tonight. And you can listen to the show on the Westwood One Sports app, the Odyssey app, SiriusXM Channel 375, and hundreds of local affiliates throughout North America. Get on the line, whether you want to call us or you want to text us. You can join the show at 310-840-4910. We'll get back to your phone calls in a bit. We've taken a bunch of your texts already this show. We are just over 30 minutes away from tip-off. Game 2, NBA Finals, Knicks and Spurs. My New York Knicks and our next guests, New York Knicks, erased a 14-point comeback, a 14-point deficit in Game 1 to win by double digits. We're feeling good. Knicks, 12 wins in a row. Let's bring in our guy, JJ, John Jastrzemski here, the host of New York, New York. And you can also catch him on SNY, the TV home of the New York Mets, multiple times throughout the week, talking all things New York sports. And you can find him on Twitter at John_Jastrzemski. JJ, we got a little full circle thing going right here, buddy. But first of all, man, we got my family's golf outing in a week that you'll be there for. And hopefully by then, we are talking about maybe a potential closeout game that night, that Saturday night for the New York Knicks. But first off, brother, how the hell you doing?
Well, it's a pleasure to be on with two of my favorites. We got Pat Boyle. We got the Glass Man. I spend a lot of time with all of you guys. That's accurate. I just want to let you guys know, you'd be proud of my hustle today. I finished up a show at SNY at 6:30. I got my 3.5-mile run in. I barely made my ferry. I came home. I showered. I couldn't look like crap for you guys. And now hopefully I have a ton of winners, and I am fired up, man, for Game 2 of this series. There's a lot to dive into. We'll get to my skepticism about the Knicks, which is going to sound crazy because they've won 12 games in a row. People are going to say, really, JJ, you skeptical of the Knicks? I mean, boys, let's start here. If San Antonio can't win tonight, then I think you could start dreaming about a sweep and breaking out the baby boil. The parade will be done with if they go and win on Friday night. You won't have to worry about it next Saturday at your outing.
Well, there you go. You basically just scratched my first question. I was going to say to you, we debated this to start the show tonight. Is Game 2 a must-win game for the Spurs? And I think you think it is, because I think this series also is toast if the Knicks win again tonight. So you agree with that. Anything else you want to add on as to why you would give the Spurs such little chance, if not no chance, to win this series if they lose Game 2 tonight?
Fellas, because of inexperience. Listen, I love what this San Antonio team has done all year. Wemby is a freak. Their young guys have barely scratched the surface. The Dylan Harpers, the Stephon Castles, for what they're going to be as players. But we've seen throughout this postseason, despite all the wins, San Antonio turns the ball over. That is not conducive to beating the New York Knicks. And they're kind of in a conundrum because De'Aaron Fox is compromised. Harper probably is a better play, and he should be closing out these games. The issue is the turnovers are going to go through the roof if you have Stephon Castle handling the basketball. So because of that inexperience, you're telling me this young San Antonio team is going to lose the first two at home and then go and win a series? I don't see it. I think this is an absolute must for them on Friday night.
JJ, everybody's talking about Cat versus Wemby after Game 1, and rightfully so. Cat was the reason they were able to make that comeback. He was great. He outplayed Wembanyama. But Pat and I were talking earlier in the show. We thought Mitch Johnson gave Fox way too many minutes over Dylan Harper. You alluded to that in a little bit. Do you think because they're paying Fox all this money, Harper is just a rookie, that we see some more of that? Like Fox gets more minutes than maybe he should? Or do you think the Spurs start to adjust to that? And in this game too, do you think that after we saw Fox get 38 minutes, Harper get 28, we maybe see Harper get close to the same amount of minutes or even more than Fox in tonight's game too?
I think it depends entirely, fellas, on the turnovers. You're absolutely right, PJ. Listen, Dylan Harper looked far more spunky. He looked far more efficient. He was just flat out better than De'Aaron Fox. But when you take De'Aaron Fox out of the game, it means that all of a sudden you're giving more of the ball handling responsibilities to Stephon Castle. That's not where he's at his best. And I think Mitch Johnson knows deep down, I can't be turning the ball over a ton against this Knicks team if I'm going to go and win this series. So I think you got to feel it out. And I do agree with the sentiment from both of you guys. With the way Game 1 was going, Dylan Harper's playing his tail off. De'Aaron Fox looked awful. You got to read that room in the fourth quarter. If Fox does not have it, he should be on the bench.
We're talking with our guy JJ John Jastrzemski here on BetMGM tonight. Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. Got PJ Glasser with me tonight, filling in for Brad Evans. JJ hosted the New York podcast, and you can also catch him on SNY, the TV home of the New York Mets, talking all things New York sports. JJ, the legend of Jalen Brunson grows with every year and every game. I mean, what was going through your head when he drops 13 in the fourth quarter on a hobbled knee and gets a 30-piece after we saw him limp to the locker room after scoring 3 points in the first quarter? And then part two, is Brunson the greatest Knick of all time if they win this title?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, Mr. Boyle. I'll start first with number one. I wasn't surprised. Fellas, this is what Jalen Brunson does on a nightly basis. This is what Jalen Brunson has done since he's put a New York Knicks uniform on. I didn't freak out when he went to the locker room. He does that all the time. And I didn't freak out about a lousy first 3 quarters of the game. And that's the biggest compliment I could give Brunson. Guys, he could stink for 3 quarters, but he's able to kind of wash it. He goes and takes the next shot, and he's like a ticking time bomb. He can get going at any point in time, even if he's giving you 7 of 20 from the field, because he doesn't let the moment get too big. And the moment clearly was not too big in game 1. And then he goes and pulls his best Mariano Rivera impression and closing it out for the New York Knicks. And listen, I might as well start playing Enter Sandman when Jalen Brunson's handling the ball with 2 and 3 minutes to go. Now, I can't say Jalen Brunson's the greatest Knick of all time. I think you have to look at the history of the franchise. Clyde Frazier hasn't beat. Willis Reed hasn't beat. But, Boyle, you know this. I'm a huge Patrick Ewing guy. I grew up. He was my favorite player. Patrick Ewing is an iconic Knick. The fact that we can have a conversation in early June of 2026, and if the Knicks go and win 3 more games in this series and win an NBA championship, I'm not going to hesitate. Jalen Brunson will be ahead of Patrick Ewing in all-time Knick rankings. Just think about that. That is absurd, but it speaks to how good and how special he's been. And as far as the King of New York is concerned, guys, nobody loves Aaron Judge more than me. Jalen Brunson wins a championship for a team that hasn't won in 50-something years. I think the debate is settled. King of New York, we're number 11.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. We'll get to Judge in a little bit, JJ. But I asked this to Pat earlier in the show, and I want to get your thoughts on this because you've been watching the Knicks a long time, all your life. You've seen a lot of bad basketball. Has it still hit you yet just how good they are? Like when you turn the TV on and you watch this product of basketball and you just kind of expect them to win, especially the way they've been playing for the last month plus? Or is there still a little part of you that in the back of your head, you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop and you just like, they've been playing so well, at some point they have to revert back to the mean? Where are you at this point with Knicks basketball and kind of the historical aspect of what you've seen and what's been in front of you the last 5 or 6 weeks?
PJ, I'm riding the wave, baby. I'm riding the wave. How can you not? I've equated it. You guys like to gamble and play a little craps. When you're on a craps table and there's a crazy hot shooter, you want to like get as much money on the table as possible until that 7 comes out. That's kind of my vibe right now with the Knicks. The city is vibing. I'm vibing. I understand there were 15 years of the abyss, the Lou Amundsen's, the Langston Galloways. I mean, the Frank Ntilikina's. I could read you the laundry list of guys who were an absolute joke and made the Knicks as irrelevant as can be in the springtime, in the wintertime, you name it. This group, nah, PJ, they got a special vibe going. Doesn't mean that they're given to win this game tonight. There's a reason why they're 6.5-point underdogs. It doesn't mean they're a lock to win this series, but they have a special thing going. It's been building the last couple of years, and you've seen the culmination of it throughout this 12-game playoff win streak that if indeed they go and win an NBA championship, it will be remembered forever around this town and around the NBA for that matter. Remembered forever.
JJ, the prices for Game 3 in the Garden are astronomical. I mean, you're talking about if they're still available, the nosebleeds. And JJ, I was telling PJ last segment, the nosebleeds in the Garden, it's not a fun watch. Like, you're in the building, sure. You're a long way away from seeing that floor, man. So the nosebleeds are over $9,000. You're basically talking about $10,000 just to get in the building. Any chance you're ponying up? You going to be in the building Game 3 or Game 4?
Listen, we're hoping for some miracles for game number 3. I can tell you this: I will not be spending $9,500. I like to throw a couple of bucks down, Pat. That's a little out of my price range. And my advice to anybody who doesn't have tickets yet: either find a friend who's lucky enough to be there and lucky enough to go and bring you, or honestly, go take that money, go book a flight to San Antonio, go get good seats in San Antonio and a hotel and everything that comes with it, and get your tour of the Alamo and maybe go see Game 5 on Saturday night, or maybe it's Game 7 down the road. But it is crazy. But hey, when you haven't been in the finals in 27 years and you're the Knicks, can't be surprised.
Yeah, and PJ asked me how much I'd need to get from somebody. Like, let's say you have a ticket for Game 3. How much would you need to get from somebody to sell that ticket? Let's say you have like 200 section, because I told PJ, if I got courtside seats, which are like $100,000 right now, I'm not giving up for that for less than $1 million. Let's say you got like 200 section. They're not great, but they're decent seats. How much would you need to get from somebody to sell that ticket?
200 level, which is like solid, respectable seats. $20,000 a ticket.
Okay.
I'd sell for.
That's not much. That's not much more than what the ticket is costing right now.
I mean, it is almost double, dude. It's almost double.
That's true.
I said if I had a ticket in the bleeds, I probably would need $50,000.
Wow, even up in the 400 level, beyond the bridge.
It's a $10,000 seat.
Listen, I love the
That
Knicks.
one's 5x.
To sit up there, to sit up there, I'll take the money. The 200s, I'd rather go to the game. To sit all the way up there, I'll take the money.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
The
JJ,
view's better on TV,
thoughts,
boys. What can I say? It's better.
Yeah, that's true. Before we get your thoughts on any bets that you like tonight, I do want to ask you about the Yankees, because we did have the big Judge injury news, and who knows when he's going to be back. It might not be until August or September for the Yankees. With him out, and Ben Rice already went yard earlier tonight against the Red Sox, is he a legit play for you to win MVP? Like, would you bet Ben Rice at this point, knowing without Judge, they're going to need him even more in the middle of that order?
I don't think it's crazy. Now, here's your question about the American League. Who's going to rise to the occasion? Bobby Witt Jr. is currently the favorite to go and win the award. His team stinks. Are you banking on the fact that Kansas City is going to get back in the playoff race? The guy I'd circle, he's never won the award. He's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. And he always, fellas, always starts to get cooking this time of the year. Jose Ramirez. That to me would be the ticket I'd want in the MVP markets, because I know Cleveland is going to find their way to the playoffs. He's going to grade out well with the glove. He's going to run the bases. The problem you run into, PJ, with Rice, he has been an amazing hitter. He's not going to provide the athleticism or the defense and some of those other elements that voters are looking for. I don't think it's a crazy ticket to have. If he continues to hit like this and the Yankees win the division, he will absolutely be in the conversation. But I'd be thinking even deeper down the line, and that's why Ramirez, to me, would be the name I would circle.
Benny Rice, Bryce Rice, baby, by the way, went deep already, JJ, tonight for the Yanks, playing the Sox. Do you think here's a more pressing question here in the next couple of weeks that we're going to get the answer to. Judge, not going to get re-imaged for 4 to 6 weeks with the right rib stress fracture. I don't know if we see him before August. You think we have another June swoon coming here for the Yankees? What's your concern level, scale of 1 to 10, that the Yanks are about to have a steep drop-off here?
I'd put it right around 5.5. And the reason it's not higher, Pat, is because the pitching staff is so outstanding. They're going to get Max Fried back. They have Garrett Cole. Rodon has thrown really well his last couple of starts. And, oh, by the way, Cam Schiller is the Vegas favorite to go and win the Cy Young. So I think their starting pitching can carry them. And I know a lot of people are looking at 2023. Judge collided in a wall at Dodger Stadium. Yankee season went up in flames. I don't see this year playing out that way. This team is better. I mean, that team was starting the corpses of Donaldson and LeMahieu. Willie Calhoun was in the lineup. Like, the lineup had very little to work with. This lineup has a little bit more to work with. PJ mentioned Ben Rice. There's Cody Bellinger. I think Jazz Chisholm will play better. So I think the Yankees will weather the storm. And they'll weather the storm.
Okay. All right, we're talking to JJ, John Jastrzemski here on BetMGM tonight, Westwood One Sports, for another 2 minutes or so. Yeah, I'm Pat Boyle. We got PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. JJ, the host of New York, New York. Make sure you check out his podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and check him out on SNY if you're in the New York City area, the tri-state area. All right, JJ, business time. Tip off in about 20 minutes. What's your play for game 2? You touching the total? You touching the Knicks? And any player props you like here. What do you like for game 2 between the Knicks and the Spurs tonight?
All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I hate the side. I'm not betting it because I'm a New York Knicks fan. I think the line tells you to go and bet the San Antonio Spurs. My advice to the audience out there, if you like the Knicks, don't mess with the points. They'll win the game outright. If it's close, they'll find a way to win. They got Tiger blood. I don't like the spot, though. I lean over because I think the game will be more tightly officiated. Game 1, they kind of let the boys play. I think you see more fouls called. Therefore, you get some more foul shooting. You're also going to see some better offense. 2 player props. Devin Vassell was awful in game 1, but the volume from three-point land was still there. I like him to go and make 3+ made threes. Mikal Bridges, quiet in game 1. I think he'll be more involved in game 2. That's my favorite play. Vassell, 3+ threes. Bridges, 10+ points. You get that a little under 2-1. That is my best bet that I am contributing for the series. Because Pat Boyle, not taking game 2. I got Knicks, game 1 in the series. I got a 15-1 future. I'm letting those babies ride. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. PJ, you got anything else for JJ? I know you guys will be working probably together on Sunday as well. Any last words for JJ?
I love it, JJ. Let's keep the good vibes going. He's been hot on the Sunday show, especially in hoops. So I hope keeps it rolling in game 2 tonight. JJ, you think though deep? I know you didn't like the side, but do you have a feeling it's going to be 1-1 going back to MSG?
I do, and I'll say this, fellas, as a parting thought: if this game's close, the Knicks are going to win, and if the Knicks win tonight, and if you like the Knicks to win tonight, bet them at 4. Take that now. Knicks win tonight. This series is over in 4 games. Calling it now.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, man. I didn't want to think about the S word. I didn't want to think about sweep, but they win tonight. It's on the table. JJ, you're the best, brother. As always, man, all the love. Thanks so much. Can't wait to catch up with you soon. Can't wait to see you in 8 days at the golf outing.
Rock and roll. Pat and PJ, 2 of my guys. Enjoy the rest of the night. Go cash 'em, boys. Later.
Appreciate you, JJ.
There you go. John Jastrzemski. Check him out. Follow him on Twitter at John_Jastrzemski. And make sure you listen to his podcast, New York, New York. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be going live post-game after the Knicks game tonight. So as soon as we sign off, obviously want you to listen to Westwood One Sports Night, but also give JJ's podcast a listen as well. 310-840-4910. Give you my stress level. It's rising before tip-off when we come back. And any last final thoughts before Game 2 of the NBA Finals? It is just over 10 minutes away. This is BetMGM tonight right here on Westwood One Sports.
No one, I think, is going to say, if they're being honest, that Victor Wembanyama is going to be better than Michael. It's a crazy thing to say, right? But I think we can acknowledge, or maybe you disagree, and that's fine, right? That it's within the range of outcomes, given his age, his size, what he's already accomplished, that it might not be nuts to suggest that he could maybe breathe that rarefied air at some point and sit in the pantheon of greats, maybe along with Michael.
Yeah.
As someone who called these games with MJ, what do you think about that? Yeah, please.
He can put his name in the conversation, but I've always said that when it comes to basketball, centers, even as they differ, Russell's not the same as Wilt, who's not the same as Olajuwon, not the same as a healthy Walton, and on, Kareem, obviously. Even as they differ, centers should be separate from guards and forwards. It's like comparing goalies in hockey to forward centers or defensemen. It's kind of a separate category. But the thing with Wemby is he's hard to categorize. He's obviously not just a classic post player. Those hardly exist anymore. He is, the word unique is often overused when people really mean rare, but he is a unique player. The combination of skills, the body control, the size, the whole thing. I mean, they tell me he's 7'5". They list him at 7'4" for whatever reason. None of the all-time greats that I mentioned were as tall as Wemby. Most of them were more sturdy than Wemby appears to be, but he's only 22. He may fill out further, but he may not want to, because part of his approach, the body control and the way he prepares himself, meditation. You notice when he goes to the free throw line, he closes his eyes before the shot. The whole way in which he approaches maximizing his body for the tasks of basketball is new age. It's 21st century. Makes some of these comparisons difficult, but certainly he has a chance. Bottom line, he has a chance to be in the conversation of the all-time greats, if he isn't there already.
So my confidence level heading into this game tonight is actually pretty high for my New York Knicks. As we've talked about, and they haven't played since Memorial Day. It's been like 10 days since the Knicks. Feels like it's been forever since they played, right? The Knicks enter the NBA Finals on an 11-game win streak. To reiterate the point that I've made, the Knicks are the 5th team in the history of the league to have an 11-game postseason win streak. 89 Lakers, 99 Spurs, 01 Lakers, 17 Warriors, 26 Knicks. The 89 Lakers are the only team in that group that didn't win the title. Magic Johnson and Byron Scott both got hurt. Isaiah and the Pistons swept. The rest all won. The Knicks enter the NBA Finals with literally the best 11-game run in the history of professional basketball, regular season or postseason. I would be stunned if OG and Bridges didn't play well. And if OG and Bridges play well, it will mean Brunson gets his. And if that happens, I think the Knicks are going to win. Give me the New York. I almost don't even want to say it. I think the Knicks are going to win the championship. I'm oddly confident. I'm going to stop short of guaranteeing it, of course. I'm not going to Joe Namath or Mark Messier it. I'm not going to guarantee anything. They can lose, and if they lose, I'll be crushed. As crushed as you could be at almost 43 years old with a wife and kid, with bigger problems than favorite NBA team winning a championship. As crushed as I could be at this stage in my life if they don't win. I would trade right now none of my other favorite teams winning a title for the next 10 years for the Knicks to win this championship. I hope and pray it happens. And I actually think it will.
Opinions and money time moments. BetMGM tonight rolls on.
Okay, yeah. And then just, you can put it. BetMGM tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. Phone number to join the show, 310-840-4910. PJ, I meant to ask you this before, maybe for some recommendations, but I had to pull the trigger, and I don't know if maybe we were on the air there. You heard me finishing up a phone call, little delivery order.
I was going to say, yeah, what you having? What you eating?
Take a guess. Now,
oh,
I don't know if we've talked food before, so this one just might be a total guess in the dark for you, but take a guess. Friday night, while game 2 is going on in a commercial break. We do the show from home. I'm in the Pat Boyle studios here. And so during a commercial break or two, I'll go down and I'll get some dinner, and I'll have it on the side for some other commercial breaks. I'm not going to be able to scarf down all the food in 5 minutes, but take a guess as to what the game 2 meal is on the table tonight.
Man, I know you like chicken. I know you're a chicken guy. You know what? I'm going to go with Popeyes, Pat. I think that's what you ordered for dinner.
That's not a bad guess. I definitely love me some Popeyes. And my favorite fast food place is Taco Bell, but I got neither of those. It is it's not a specific place. I can't give you the name of the place. It'll give it away, but it's a generic food that you would order for delivery.
Okay. Like, I've definitely heard of this restaurant before, this chain before.
Oh, no, I don't know about the restaurant, but you've heard of the thing that I got. Without a doubt. It's a staple.
I mean, I wonder if it's as simple as you're in Philly. Did you get a steak and cheese?
I did not. Also a great guess. One more guess.
Man. All right, my final
definitely
guess,
not
I'm
the
gonna
smartest
say-
thing. Definitely not the smartest thing, as I'm going to be eating it/them while I do a show or in commercial breaks of a show.
I'm thinking you went like Mexican, like tacos, burritos. Did you get one of those?
Nope. I got wings.
Okay.
I got wings, baby. Me and the lady.
Okay.
Me and the lady are going to have
There you
wings.
go.
She'll be watching the Knicks game downstairs in the living room. I'll obviously have the game on the screen here. And so we like to do the bag salads, at the supermarket. I'm a sucker. There's a dill pickle bag salad. It is phenomenal. So she was going to cook. We had a busy day. I was like, you know what, babe? Let's just order wings. And I was like, and we could do a small margarita pizza. And she goes, she shut that down. She's like, we're going to Spain in just over a week. Got that wedding that we're going to. She's like, I can't do pizza. I'll do wings. So we got a 20-piece mild wings, and we'll have a bag salad on the side, dill pickle salad on the side, but all wings, baby, mild. I don't know. I'm gonna be a mess though. I gotta ask her to bring me up a couple of moist towelettes, a couple of wipes, because I'm gonna look like an absolute slob. I'll be eating the wings during the break, but that's my comfort food, man. That's gonna ease my nerves because I need this game to start, PJ. I'm starting to get nervous, man. As great as winning game 1 was, I feel like the momentum gets reset if the Knicks lose tonight, especially if the Knicks get blown out. And look, man, I don't want this team to lose again. They haven't lost it since April 26th. I'm not ready for a loss. I don't want to see a loss. A split on the road, that didn't do anything for me. I want them to win the game. So I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous that this big French freak, Wemby is going to come out and have 10 points and 5 rebounds in the first quarter, and the Knicks are going to be down 15, and it's going to be my worst nightmare.
I mean, look, it's a good thing for your sake that they won game 1. So worst case, it's a split. You're going back to MSG. They got home court. Game 3 is going to be absolutely on fire on Monday night. I can't wait for that game. Going to be so, so good. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game tonight. I totally agree with JJ. He said if you like the Knicks, bet them outright. The line is definitely telling you San Antonio's the play, but I mean, during this streak, there have been so many lines involving Knick games where you think the other team is the play. You think they're due for regression, or you think the other team, it's a good spot for them to get right. And this team just shows up and they just hit you with the wave of threes and their offense is too much. And you look up, it's a 20-point game. So I completely understand people that are like, if they're giving me the Knicks as a dog again, I'm just going to keep betting the Knicks. I do think this is a solid spot, though, for the Spurs tonight. We've talked about it the first couple hours of the show. Every time you've needed a big game from Wemby, a big game from the Spurs, especially at home, they've showed up and the games haven't relatively been close. So I think they're going to play pretty well tonight. But Pat, I know you're going to be living and dying with every possession, and I'm just looking forward to having a front row seat to it. We got the wings as a bonus. I mean, your hands are going to be messy. We're going to have wing stains all over the lips and the mouth. It's going to be
going to get ugly
for everybody here on BetMGM tonight. Yeah,
it's going to get ugly, Paige. It's going to get ugly, man. Thank God I have you here.
Yeah.
Brad takes his Friday off. I do the 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern every day by myself. And, I had Combs, who was a nice, a nice sidekick the other night when I asked for him. But you're going to get a front row seat to delirium one way or another. I'm either going to be in euphoria because the Knicks are going to win again tonight. And they're going to be winning, or I'm going to be in absolute shambles if they're losing, and if it's a close game throughout, I'm gonna be a nervous wreck. And yeah, the wings, it's not gonna be great. I don't know why I got wings. Why did I get wings? I should have just went pizza. Or I should have just took out an extra 45 minutes of my day, meal prep a little chicken, have some chicken breast, and keep it simple. What am I doing? Wings. That's not a good call. Why did I do wings?
What'd you have for game one? Do you remember what you had for dinner for game one?
Game one. What did I have the other night? What did I have the other night for game one? I think, you know what? The lady, Corinne, cooked. She made a tremendous, spicy curry lentils. And I meal prepped some chicken. And we put that chicken with some lentils over rice. And she, cooked up a bunch of veggies that we have in the fridge. So, actually, funny enough, guy that I used to work with, Pete McCarthy, texted me and he said, I had a buddy listening, and he said, he was concerned for you and your stomach with the spicy lentils. Hopefully you didn't have a bad night on the toilet. And I said, dude, Knicks win cured everything. But yeah. So if I could survive that, I guess I could survive some wings. I'll just have to have a nice stack of wet wipes or whatever.
If you were not doing the show tonight and you were watching it downstairs on your nice TV, are you a guy that's constantly standing up, watching the game? Are you pacing around? Or are you sitting there on your sofa, on the chair, just, kind of with your hands on your chin, just resting, just hunching over? How do you watch these kinds of games when you're stressed?
It's a lot. It's a lot of different positions. It's a lot of different standing up, sitting down. When we got off the air the other night on Wednesday for game one, I went downstairs and I was standing up the entire time, like the third base coach, baseball coach, and the coach's box, hands on the knees, like I'm ready to start giving out signs here. That's how I was the entire time, fist pumping. There will be pacing. If I watched the entire game, it would be pacing. I guess I would probably sit down during the commercial breaks, maybe a little social media intake, scroll a little Twitter, tweet out some thoughts, see what other people are saying. But I would say once the fourth quarter starts, it'll be standing. And I got this desk, this desk here that I use. It's a movable desk. So if we got a close game in the fourth, I don't know, maybe this puppy, I start moving this thing and I start standing up as I'm doing the show, because I can't tell you what kind of atmosphere or what kind of mood I'm going to be in. Game one, I waited so long, and I think I handled myself okay. But now that the Knicks are up 1-0, man, I don't know, dude. We only got a couple of these games left, so I'm going to be a freaking wreck, and I'm lucky that I have you here.
I'm glad to be here with you. Did you bet anything for tonight's game? Did you take any player props? Did you emotionally hedge and bet the Spurs -6.5? Do you ever do anything like that, or are you just enjoying it as a fan and just rooting for the Knicks all the way, no money involved?
No, I put together 2 plays, $10 to win $500 because I with a couple different player props. I don't want to touch the side. I hope the Knicks win. I can't. Even if I thought, as a neutral observer, if I would probably think the Spurs big bounce back. Game 2, they lose game 1 at home. Now I'm going to lose 0-2, right? What's the chance of that happening? So I don't blame you for taking the Spurs, but as a Knicks fan, I can't, man. I can't do it. I'm rooting for a win. I am rooting for a freaking win, and that's it. And the other thing I would be, I guess, rooting for if a Knicks win, and I don't give a damn if it happens, a Dylan Harper double-double. I think that could be on the table.
I like that. Yeah, I think Harper's gonna be good again tonight. It's going to be interesting to see the other guys that stepped up. I mean, Champagnie could not miss in that first half, and then he couldn't even hit the rim in the second half. Castle's got to be a lot better for San Antonio as well. All postseason, we've been so impressed with the youth of these guys and how they've met the moment and how they've stepped up in the biggest games. And after that game one, now all of a sudden we're kind of questioning Wemby just a little bit, Fox, some of these other guys. So we'll learn a lot about the Spurs tonight, and I think we'll learn a lot about Mitch Johnson tonight as well. The Spurs front office has done an unbelievable job giving him this youth of talent, but he's done a terrific job coaching as well. And massive game for him tonight to step up and do what he's got to do, because, you know, that Fox Harper, that's a big decision. How does he decide to guard Cat? What looks does he give at Brunson? All these sorts of things are going to be huge. He was great adjusting in that Oklahoma City series, but that's a team that you're used to. I mean, by the time that series got done, you had played them 12 times this season. Now you're going up against a Knicks team where you obviously haven't seen them a bunch, and you really have to try and go off the fly of what you learned in game one.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll have tip-off. The watch party will begin. 310-840-4910. You can call in. We'll obviously be reacting live to the game. We want you to watch us. We want you to listen to us. And if you got another screen that you can have the game on, great. But we're going to be going nuts. I'm going to be going nuts the entire game. So live reaction, in-game analysis. PJ will definitely be the good cop. I'll be the bad cop, or I'll be the psycho cop. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. We're coming right back. This is BetMGM tonight on Westwood One Sports.
Initially, I want to say Seattle. The reason, if I'm picking one just off of paper, talent, coaches, and all of that, it would be Seattle. My issue is that it's so damn hard to get back to the Super Bowl from one year to the next year that probability, chances are, it just won't happen. I'm going to say the Chicago Bears would be my sleeper type of team.
Okay.
What can they continue to develop into in year two with Ben Johnson, year two with Caleb Williams doing what he was able to do last year, learning on the job, but still showing us some of those traits that you can take over and win a game at the very end. Now, how do you continue to build that up to be able to play those first three quarters and all that the same way you play the last 45 seconds on a 2-minute drive to go win a game, and with some of the advancements they've made on the defensive side of the ball? I would say that would be my sleeper surprise pick rather than going with just the norm of teams. I would go on a limb and say the Chicago Bears.
what's your favorite game or event that you've ever been a part of, called, announced, etc.?
I really can't single out any one, but when I'm asked, I have three that I immediately just toss out there. I didn't call Kirk Gibson's home run, the pinch hit home run in Game 1 of 1988's World Series off Dennis Eckersley. Jack Buck had a memorable call on radio, and Vince Scully had one of his greatest calls on television.
Live scores, sharp options, no waiting till tomorrow. BetMGM Tonight is back.
All right, here we go. Welcome on back. BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. He's PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans. Phone number to join the show, 310-840-4910. You can call, you can text. They're about to tip it off. And here's a stat for you. In NBA Finals history, home teams to lose Game 1 are 16-2 in Game 2. Only twice has the home team dropped the first two games. I'm hoping that happens for a third time tonight, but I got a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. The intros are done. They did the BS, by the way, to the Knicks again, PJ. They played that garbage SpongeBob sound and music during the Knicks intros, and you would think after the Knicks cracked their ass in Game 1 and won by double digits that they would show a little respect. You know, the Spurs act like you've been here before. They have, and they did it again to the Knicks. So I'm pissed off, man. I'm pissed.
You are cursed.
Yeah, curse him, Danhausen.
Oof. Pat, how are we feeling right now? Scale 1 to 10, 10 being like as nervous as one can be. What are you right now, 1 to 10?
I'm a 7. I'm a 7. If they were down 0-1, I'd be at a 10. But they do have the win. Again, I want it to be 2-0. I want it to be 2-0. Obviously, I don't want to lose a game. You know, just because I said Knicks in 6 doesn't mean I'm okay with them losing Game 2. But I'm just nervous of a hot start from San Antonio. You know, they've done it. They've done it before when they're trailing in the series. You know, when they were down 2-1 against the Thunder, they win that game by 20. When they were down 1-0 against Minnesota, I know Minnesota was missing some guys with injuries. They won that game by basically 40. But I'm still nervous. It's underway. It's underway. I believe this is the exact same starting lineups as last time for the Spurs. It's Castle, it's Fox, it's Vassell, Champagny, and Wemby. And for the Knicks, it's Brunson, Hart, Bridges, OG, and Karl Anthony Towns. And looks like you got a Vassell 3 on the first possession, and it's nothing but net. So there you go. Shout out to JJ. He thought Vassell was going to have a bounce back. Guy hits a 3 right out of the gate. Let's mix in a call here. And I'm on edge. And his last call was a little off the rails, so I need it to be centered and pointed and focused tonight. Let's go to Paul in Rhode Island, who's next up on BetMGM tonight. Paul's on line 1.
Yeah,
Paul, what's up, man?
I know. Listen, thank you for taking my call. I know I'm all over the place sometimes, but I'm taking the game tonight. Knicks win, and they lose Game 3 in New York.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. I mean, if they go up 2-0, Paul, I appreciate the call.
But listen.
All right. Did we lose Paul? I think we dropped. I think he dropped. I said thank you for the call. That's normally the sign for our folks at Westwood One to drop him. Yeah, that's just unfortunate timing. But yeah, PJ, I don't know how I would feel. I would still feel great. I would just feel like, all right, if the Knicks win tonight and they go up 2-0 on the road and it's going back to the Garden, then they lose Game 3, then I would think, all right, no problem, bounce back, win Game 4 at home, and you're up 3-1, and you got a chance to close it out. I'm not even thinking that far ahead. But I don't know. You would probably still feel good about the Spurs' chances. You said it. You don't think this is a must-win game, so you would give them a chance to win Game 3 at the Garden, even if the Knicks win tonight.
I really would. I mean, I just think about like recent circumstances where this has happened. I mean, think about your Knicks, Pat, last year, where they won the first 2 games in Boston, came back to MSG, lost that Game 3. I remember when Indiana last year won the first 2 games in Cleveland. They came back to Indiana. The Cavs won that Game 3. As a Capitals fan, the year they won the Cup, I remember when they won the first 2 in Tampa, came back home, lost Game 3. So it happens more than you think, and especially with teams and organizations that don't have a lot of success, aren't used to consistent winning. As hot as the Knicks have been, and as much on a tear, and as great as this run has been, I do just think that, Pat, a lot of people will share your sentiments. If they win tonight, the series is over. It's going to be a sweep. San Antonio's cooked. And I would really like them in that kind of game. So look, you don't want to go down 0-2. You don't want to lose both your home games. They're trying to get a split tonight, but I just would not. I don't think they have a 0% chance. I would put it at maybe like a 10% chance they come back to win the series. It wouldn't be ideal, but I do think I agree with Paul. I think they'd have a shot at winning that game 3.
Brunson's off to a hot start, by the way. He got the Knicks' first bucket on a tough mid-range jumper, and then he just got fouled on a 3 where Castle kind of just ever so slightly bumps him. But again, PJ, I'm not surprised. You got Tony Brothers, the crew chief in this game tonight. I expected there to be points because I expect there to be plenty of fouls. So Brunson with the Knicks' first 4 points and counting, and he's got another free throw here to try to make it 5 in a row. So again, I think it's going to be a very tightly officiated game, not for the enjoyment of us, the viewer, but if you like points, you like a lot of free throws, then I guess this might be the game for you. I just think that's who Tony Brothers is. That's what this crew does. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of physical play because they're going to call him for fouls. So I worry about foul trouble for Karl-Anthony Towns. I worry about foul trouble for Stephon Castle, although he didn't guard Brunson a ton in game 1. So. And we got another foul right away.
There's so many Knicks fans there. I mean, did you see when Brunson was shooting those free throws? How many Knicks fans were in the stands? I mean, it's crazy how well they travel. I give Brunson a ton of credit, Pat, and I wish we had talked about this, but knowing how tough it was going to be to go into San Antonio tonight and win the game, I think his first quarter prop points look would have been a good one, right? Setting the tone, getting off to a good start. Give me the ball. Let's let us go in, settle in. And you can clearly tell Mike Brown and the Knicks, I mean, they're running plays for him. He's being aggressive. And with Tony Brothers reffing the game, like you said, that's just only going to play into his kind of game as somebody who's seeking contact. So I think Brunson's going to continue to try and hunt his shot here because, again, we know the Spurs are coming out, man, and they know they got to win this game.
Ooh, yeah, PJ, my delivery for the wings is here. So can you take over for just a moment?
I got you. Go get your wings. This is BetMGM tonight. PJ Glasser filling in for Brad Evans along with Pat Boyle here on this Friday night. We're watching game 2 of the NBA Finals. San Antonio off to a hot start here in the first quarter, 8-5. They've already hit a couple 3-pointers in this game. As Stephon Castle going to get a tough 2, so he gets his first bucket of the game. The total's already up to 224.5, folks. This was 217.5 pregame, so the pace at which this game is being played, and certainly San Antonio's offense, this game is off to a very fast start right now. Yes, sir.
I said, call this number when the guy gets here, and he calls my number. I mean, what are we doing? Oh, but this guy Champagne doesn't miss, by the way. Oh, he banked in a 3 from the side. This guy does not miss.
He did. Dude, first half Champagne is just ridiculous. Guy doesn't miss in the first half. Yeah, it's a good
ridiculous.
game.
He doesn't miss. OG bangs in a 3, though. That's the much more fluid offense here from both sides. We already got 23 points in the first 3.5 minutes. I mean, I don't think have either teams missed. No, that's not true. I saw Mikal Bridges miss a floater and Fox missed a floater. I mean, this is just simple offense right now for the Spurs. They're loading up. They're jacking. They're bombing 3s away here in the early going. They're trying to get a rhythm and a momentum, which I'm surprised. I would think they would want to take it to the cup and try to draw some whistles. Brunson probably should have got a whistle on that one. That was a lot of contact on his drive to the rim. But I would think the Spurs, not leaving it to chance on a potential rough start shooting-wise, that they would want to take the ball to the cup. And they're shooting a ton of 3s here. 4 3s attempted in the first 4 minutes.
Man, that crowd looks like they are into it and loud as well. I know we were talking about how many Knicks fans were there, but certainly a fair share of San Antonio fans. Everybody's standing, and we're like halfway through the first quarter. Game's got another really good pace to it. The Knicks showed us in game 1 they want to push. Any opportunity that they have to run, they're going to do it because they don't want San Antonio to set up their
Set up the
half-court defense.
yeah.
That, and then also, Pat, obviously the rest advantage that the Knicks have. I mean, the fact that they're coming off 2 series where they've swept, and San Antonio just played that 7-game war against OKC. That was such a huge key to the first game, was them really wearing down Wemby and him just looking sluggish towards the end. So they're going to continue to push that pace. But the Spurs right now, I mean, I give them credit. They have no problem playing that kind of game early. This is definitely a Knicks pace up to this point, which is something to monitor. But yeah, definitely back and forth so far to this one. And Dylan Harper's in for San Antonio right now, getting his first minutes. So we'll see what kind of impact he has.
There you go. There's your first kind of hint at maybe how this game gets coached by Mitch Johnson. They leave Josh Hart open for a 3. He's got to hit those, man. He just has to hit those. Otherwise, you're going to see Shamet come into the game. But yeah, we already see the quick sub. De'Aaron Fox out after just 4 minutes. Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper come in for the Spurs. Brunson in transition drills a 3. Brunson is off to a heater here. So he's picking up right where he left off in the fourth quarter. He's already got 8 points. So I would say the knee and the ankle look okay to me. But yeah, honestly, Dylan Harper's it drives right to the rim and basically uncontested. They're not getting that from De'Aaron Fox. Dude, no. I don't know if you see De'Aaron Fox play more than like 24 minutes tonight, which even that might be a lot. I don't know. He's not giving them anything other than the fact that he normally doesn't turn the ball over. But even last game, he had 5 assists, 3 turnovers. So it's like, you know, if the assist to turnover ratio is like 3-1, I can understand it. It wasn't even 2-1. So I think you just take your risk with the youth of Dylan Harper and Castle handling the ball and the potential risks that come with that with the turnovers. But I think you're getting more on offense on each possession with those guys than you're getting with De'Aaron Fox.
I totally agree. That's why, again, his points prop tonight, Pat, was 15.5. For him to go over that, he was going to have to get up to a hot start, because it was so noticeable what a liability he was in game 1 and how much better Harper was, that if he didn't really give Mitch Johnson and the Spurs much reason to play him late in the game, if he didn't give him a spark early, I didn't see any way that he was going to play 38 minutes again. So I thought that was a good play. That's definitely something to watch as the series goes on. But yeah, man, like you said it, I mean, Harper, just watching him probe the lane, set his teammates up, it's just at this point, I don't know how you can play Fox more.
All right, we got a break. We'll be right back. BetMGM tonight, Westwood One Sports.
What's your favorite game or event that you've ever been a part of, called, announced, etc.?
I really can't single out any one, but when I'm asked, I have 3 that I immediately just toss out there. I didn't call Kirk Gibson's home run, the pinch hit home run in Game 1 of 1988's World Series off Dennis Eckersley. Jack Buck had a memorable call on radio, and Vin Scully had one of his greatest calls on television. But I was the pregame and postgame host for NBC, and that remains the most theatrical baseball moment I've ever been connected to. Not necessarily the biggest or the best, but the most theatrical in the way it played out. And I interviewed Gibson immediately on the field in the aftermath of this miraculous home run. And I actually said that this reminded me of Roy Hobbs at bat, Robert Redford as Roy Hobbs in the movie The Natural, which was fairly new at that time during the 1980s. And what NBC's producers did, and it was brilliant, was they went to work and they intercut Redford's at-bat with Gibson's at-bat, along with Randy Newman's soundtrack from The Natural. And that's the way we came on the air before Game 2, because it was that dramatic and that theatrical in the way the whole thing played out. You couldn't have staged it any more dramatically than that. So that's one. Another is Muhammad Ali lighting the torch at the opening ceremony of the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, a moment both powerful and poignant. And the third would be Michael Jordan's last shot as a Chicago Bull. We thought at the time it was perhaps his last shot of the NBA, but he did come back for a couple of seasons with the Wizards. But essentially, that's the way the curtain came down. And talk about theatrical, one of the greatest careers in the history of American sports ends in the most dramatic way possible. Classic jump shot, down by a point, changes it to up by a point, closes out the series, closes out his career, 6 titles, 6 MVPs in the finals, never lost in the finals. That's a perfect punctuation.
may have pushed off, but I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, and Michael Jordan ruined my childhood saying that.
Stop. If that play happens in the second quarter of a regular season game, no one even comments on it. Russell's momentum was already carrying him in the other direction. The little hand on his tush, as I said in the Last Dance documentary, was the equivalent of a maitre d' showing a customer to his table. It had nothing to do with the play. He had already faked him out of position and was wide open and then hit the shot.
I hated them. I can't unless the Knicks win a championship, I can't shake it. I'm being honest up front about my hate for them.
Right now, this is the best team in the National Football League. They were Super Bowl favorites before they added Myles Garrett to this team. To me, this is a special trade. I think even for me personally, I was in Cleveland Myles' rookie year when he got there, and the slogan on our team at that time from Hugh Jackson was "Embrace the suck." We knew what it was going to be coming off a 1-15 season, and then we went 0-16.
I was going to say, you did. You did.
Yes,
I hate
exactly.
to say that. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But...
So for Myles, and he's played in 3 playoff games throughout his 9 years, but he's done so much damage on teams that weren't able to get over the hump or even get close to where they wanted to get. So for him personally, you come into the league on a bad team with a Hall of Fame player like Joe Thomas, who you saw and probably got to go against every single day in practice. And you saw a guy that finished his last game against the Titans when he got injured in a Hall of Fame career, never getting to see that type of team success. So now you fast forward for Myles, 9 years of that. Now you get an opportunity to go play in 7 primetime games, and you get to chase a Lombardi trophy. So to me, this is special. This is a Rams defense that fell apart towards the end of the season, but was at the top of the league when you look at pressures, sacks, and all of those things. And now you've just added the Defensive Player of the Year along with the MVP from a year ago. So this is an extremely dangerous team right now with this type of move. Sucks they had to give up Jared Verse, who I think is a fantastic player. But when you get a guy like Myles Garrett on your defense, with what they've added in the secondary with the trade of Trent McDuffie and adding Jalen Watson, like, you've completely changed your defense and how you're going to be able to attack your opponents.
The day shuts down. The games light up. This is BetMGM Tonight with Brad Evans and Pat Boyle on Westwood One Sports.
Hey, welcome on back. BetMGM Tonight, Westwood One Sports. I'm Pat Boyle. I got PJ Glasser with me tonight. He's in for Brad Evans. And we are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Hour number 4 of this